subscribe, like the video, and, if possible, join Patreon. But if you don't have much money, you can support the channel by watching the novels on euroaudiobooks.com. Remember that you can participate in the polls so that your favorite novel gets published for free.
The detonator while chasing Rock Shinobi. Ms. Orochimaru, I know you still have some doubts about me now, but today, Nawaki will be killed by Rock Shinobi's detonator trap. After that, it will be gutted by unknown ninjas, Morikawa Satoshi, and I will most likely die in this pursuit battle. I hope you can attach importance to this task, and we will talk about the rest when we go back. Shiraishi looked at Orochimaru seriously. Nawaki was disemboweled, which Shiraishi had done in-depth analysis while on Earth. Orochimaru was there when Nawaki was killed and gutted Nawaki right under Orochimaru's eyes and nose. This person is obviously not a simple character. Combining the opinions given by everyone, Shiraishi identified 3 suspects: Orochimaru, Danzo, Madara, or White Zetsu. Doubt Orochimaru is the first to bear the brunt, but the suspicion of overthrowing Orochimaru is also the easiest. At that time, Orochimaru valued his disciple Nawaki very much. This suspicion is very unreasonable. The second suspect, Danzo, is the most likely killer. Everyone knows that Danzo is studying with style at this time, and Nawaki, the grandson of Hashirama, is naturally a very good material. The third suspect, Madara or White Zetsu, also has a strong motive. The old Uchiha Madara was pregnant with the Rinnegan at this time and was in dire need of something to prolong life. It is not impossible for Nawaki, who inherited Senju's sage body, to be targeted by him. You said Nawaki would die today. The internal organs were taken out. Orochimaru's complexion changed. He stared at Shiraishi with golden vertical pupils and confirmed solemnly. Under the tense appearance, there is anger, sadness, and worry that cannot be concealed. That's right. The enemy hiding in the dark should not be weak. At least at the Genin level. Nawaki was the first to rush to pursue, and only then fell into the enemy's detonator trap. That's all the information I know. No matter who the enemy is, I hope Orochimaru-sensei will not startle the enemy. The water here is too deep for you to grasp. I'll go back and explain to you in detail. Seeing Orochimaru's reaction, Shiraishi ruled him out and reminded again. The black hands hiding in the dark. I see I will use Shadow Clone to carry out tasks with me instead of you and verify your intelligence. Shiraishi, if you didn't lie to me, I will accept you as my disciple after this incident. Orochimaru's eyes suddenly became sharp, and he raised his head and said seriously with a low murmur, I promise I'm not lying. Orochimaru-sensei. Shiraishi immediately reassured with a beaming smile, secretly heaving a long sigh of relief. In this way, it can be regarded as saving my life. Shadow Clone Technique. After making a decision, Orochimaru quickly completed the seal with both hands and shouted in a low voice. Bang, bang, bang. A white smoke drifted past, and 3 shadow clones appeared beside Orochimaru. As soon as the 3 shadow clones appeared, they each performed the transformation technique to become Shiraishi, Nawaki, and Morikawa Satoshi. Orochimaru himself nodded to Shiraishi and went out directly with Shadow Clone. The wall of flesh that divided Shiraishi and Nawaki also disappeared into one big room. Not to mention Shiraishi and Nawaki's wrangling between them. Orochimaru immediately released the summoning technique after leaving the giant python and quickly ran towards the mission location. In order to verify what Shiraishi said, Orochimaru's 3 shadow clone only have the same strength as the 3. This not only saves Orochimaru's chakra, but also perfectly verifies Shiraishi's intelligence. Chapter 19 Verify the authenticity. Learn from Orochimaru. Damn Rock Shinobi. Haven't the reinforcements arrived yet? Yamada Yini stood in front of the sacrifice companion, staring at the 3 rock shinobi facing him unwillingly. He is just a Chunin, and the other is a Chunin, 2 genin. Konoha's ninja goat die. Rock shinobi Chunin stared at Yamada Yanichi playfully, threw a few kunai with a ferocious face, and roared angrily. The other 2 genins also threw kunai shurikens from other angles, blocking Yamada's escape route. Are you going to die? Yamada looked at the kunai shuriken in 3 directions, with a look of despair on his face. Wind-style great breakthrough. At the very moment, a stern voice sounded in Yamada Yeni's ear. The violent hurricane blows away all the kunai shuriken with lightning speed. In an instant, Orochimaru appeared in front of Yamada Hikoichi. Orochimaru Jinin. As soon as Yamada Yen saw Orochimaru, he was in shock, and the joy of surviving after the catastrophe flooded his heart instantly. Is it just you? Yamada Chinin. Orochimaru glanced at the other two lying in a pool of blood, staring coldly at the opposite rock shinobi, and said indifferently, "Feel sorry." Yamada took a deep breath and lowered his head with shame on his face. They were too anxious to pursue the rock shinobi team and caught the enemy's ambush without realizing it. So fall in such a situation. "It's Jinin, run." During the conversation between the two, rock shinobi Chinin shouted loudly with sweat on his forehead, turned around, and ran away without hesitation. The hidden shadow, Snake Hand, Orochimaru, who had been prepared for a long time, made a one-handed move, and several Lion Majesty with their fangs spread across the sky, entangled rock shinobi Chinin in the blink of an eye. Under rock shinobi Chinin's terrified and powerless resistance, he was bitten by several long snakes and injected venom. The other two rock shinobi Genins seized the opportunity and broke out. Chakra quickly retreated from left to right. "Don't try to escape." Yamada, who survived the catastrophe, yelled and got up to catch up. But the shadow clone who rushed over to play Nawaki was faster and quickly chased after him. Yamada followed closely behind. Shadow clone, who plays Shiraishi and Satoshi Morikawa, goes after another rock shinobi genin. Boom! Not surprisingly, Shadow clone, who played Nawaki, got caught in the detonator trap after rushing into the woods. Chinin Yamada was frightened by the sudden explosion and fell to the ground, terrified. The other party actually set up a detonating symbol trap in advance. Seeing the explosion, Orochimaru's pupils trembled, and the body flicker technique was activated immediately. Shadow clone, Aburame Ryoma, who was watching from the dark, blurted out in surprise when he saw Nawaki disappearing in white smoke. The expression hidden under the mask changed slightly, then turned around and withdrew. "Who is that?" Orochimaru, who came over in an instant, saw the black figure flashing away and murmured in surprise. At the same time, Orochimaru's two shadow clones' feedback came back one by one. The escaped rock shinobi genin has what it takes to defeat Shiraishi and Morikawa Tomo. Orochimaru squinted his eyes to feel all the memory feedbacks of the three shadow clone. His pale face became even colder. It's all verified what Shiraishi said. Nawaki will be killed. Shiraishi and Morikawa are either dead or disabled. Because it was shadow clone before, it cannot be judged that Shiraishi and Morikawa Chi will be killed. Orochimaru Jinin. It was a Wagakure's 13th incursion into the frontier this month. Please report to Lord Hokage as soon as possible. When Orochimaru was shocked, Yamada took out a scroll from his body and said respectfully. At this time, it was the stage of local conflicts and intelligence gathering in the early days of World War II. This is also the reason why enemies only have middle and genin levels. Otherwise, 3rd Hokage would not have arranged for Orochimaru to bring 3 genin over to test reinforcements. Yamada sent, "Tomorrow there will be reinforcements coming to supplement your team. You go to the 3rd outpost to rest first." Confused, Orochimaru took the scroll and arranged for Yamada. Ninja summoning technique. Immediately, Orochimaru bit his finger, quickly completed the seal with both hands, and slapped the ground to drink. With a bang, the previous giant python appeared at Orochimaru's feet. Back to Konoha. Orochimaru commanded the giant python while looking ahead, with a bit of the python's head under his feet. The figures of the 3 Shiraishi slowly emerged from the surface of the python. "Ms. Orochimaru, you are finally here. Why should we be trapped there?" Nawaki grabbed Orochimaru's sleeve as soon as he came up and dissatisfied in a slightly coquettish tone. "It is now more than half a day since Orochimaru left. The three of them were also very suppressed. Mission escalation. Not suitable for you, Genin, to perform. The task has been completed. Now we return to the village. Orochimaru pulled out an excuse without blinking, looked at Nawaki with complicated eyes, and comforted him. If it wasn't for Shiraishi's reminder, Nawaki might really be dead today, and that fleeting dark hand also made Orochimaru uneasy. There's only 1,000 days to be a thief. How can there be 1,000 days to guard against a thief? This situation, where it is easy to hide open guns and hard to defend against hidden arrows, makes Orochimaru very worried about Nawaki's safety. Really? Ready to show off your skills today? Nawaki, who had no idea that he escaped, was still muttering dissatisfiedly. Then next time, Orochimaru casually said absent-mindedly, met Shiraishi's eyes inadvertently, and nodded slightly. Shiraishi understood what Orochimaru meant when he saw this. This is the report on the thigh. Taking a 10,000 step back, even if you don't mix well, there's Orochimaru's living corpse reincarnation guarantee. Longevity is hopeful. Shiraishi, who was in a good mood, stood on top of the python's head and looked at the endless Lin high in a happy mood. This untouched expanse was something Shiraishi hadn't seen before, especially the huge intertwined trees. They're tens of meters high in the ninja world are very spectacular. Under Orochimaru's secret urging, it took only half a day for Shiraishi and the others to see the Konoha gate. As Konoha approached, Orochimaru released the summoning technique and led the three of them into the village. Disband now. I'm going to report the mission to Lord Hokage. Orochimaru gave Shiraishi a suggestive look and said sternly to the three of them. Yes, Shiraishi nodded imperceptibly, followed Nawaki, and they shouted in unison. Since it was already evening when they came back, the three of them went home to rest separately. Shiraishi-kun, come with me. After Shiraishi turned an alley, Orochimaru's figure suddenly appeared and greeted him. Okay, Shiraishi looked as if he had expected it, and followed with a smile. Under Orochimaru's leadership, Shiraishi came to Orochimaru's house with a lot of twists and turns. Although Orochimaru was not a Sannin at this time, he had the strength of an elite Chunin and the identity of a Hokage disciple. Or let Orochimaru have a spacious mansion. There are also factors that Orochimaru likes to study. Ordinary courtyards cannot accommodate research rooms and reference rooms. My shadow clone is reporting to 3rd Hokage. Now we can talk. But before that, I will fulfill my promise. Accept you as my disciple. Orochimaru took Shiraishi to a modestly furnished room, stared into Shiraishi's eyes, and said seriously, Master Orochimaru. Shiraishi immediately hit the snake on the stick and shouted. The title of Master also exists in Hokage, and the little Sakura, called Tsunade, is the title. Shiraishi, I want to know who attacked Nawaki? Does the treasure plow you mentioned before exist? When will my future self come over? Also, what is your purpose? Orochimaru accepted the title of Master with satisfaction and asked questions one after another. Chapter 20 spoiler for the future. Orochimaru is stupid, etc. I forgot to say that earlier. In the future, when we talk about any important things, we must find a very safe place. I'll tell you the reason later. Shiraishi hastily interrupted Orochimaru, who was asking, and said seriously, Is that so? Seeing Shiraishi so serious, Orochimaru nodded solemnly in agreement. Under Shiraishi's unexpected gaze, Orochimaru clapped his hands together on the ground. Ninja, law one string of light array. With Orochimaru's low shout, the black sealing technique spread from his palm. The whole room is filled with breath. This is a simple close-range enchantment technique, which can make this room an independent space. It should be enough to prevent the conversation from leaking. Seeing Shiraishi's strange gaze, Orochimaru explained in passing. Boundary enchantment? It can be done, but one layer of protection is too weak. Master, please add a few more layers. Shiraishi looked at the black spells in the room and urged again worriedly. Orochimaru. After a while, Shiraishi was relieved after stacking the light array 5 times in a row in Orochimaru. Master, about Nawaki. I was wondering if you found anything at the scene? Shiraishi didn't answer directly, but looked at Orochimaru without answering the question. At that time, I saw a black shadow flashing, but I didn't see the specific appearance clearly. Orochimaru didn't hide anything and confessed what he saw. When Shiraishi heard this, he probably had a guess in his heart. If it was Madara or White Zetsu, it would certainly not be found by Orochimaru. White Zetsu's perception ability is very strong. Master, you should know Shimura dance. The killer should be a member of his roots. Shiraishi doesn't keep a secret and cuts to the chase. Root leader, Hokage assistant Danzo. How could it be him? Orochimaru's body trembled. His pupils shrank, and he shouted in surprise. Danzo is no stranger to Orochimaru, who is a disciple of the third generation. Danzo had also invited him to join Roots before. It's just that the third generation didn't agree, and then nothing happened. Yes, that's him. Konoha has been secretly researching Wood's style since second Hokage. After the death of second generation, third generation and Danzo got the research materials of second generation to continue their research. After paying a heavy price, third generation was forced to stop this research. But Danzo is still secretly studying Wood's style. Presumably, he valued Nawaki's first-generation blood. In the future, Master, you'll also join Danzo's research. In the end, you'll end up with a single experiment that wasn't a success. Wood style Tianzong. But this Wood style is just an ordinary escape technique, not as legendary as first generation. The Wood style of first generation is not as simple as Wood style. Shiraishi explained the cause and effect in a simple and clear way, opening the door for future topics. Orochimaru heard these ups and downs in his heart. His pale face kept changing, cloudy and sunny. Wood style of first generation. What does it mean that it is not as simple as Wood style? After calming down for a while, Orochimaru asked, grasping the point. This matter starts with the truth of the ninja world. But before that, I want you to know the future that originally belonged to you. I originally planned to let the future teacher come over and explain it personally, but for some reason, he hasn't appeared yet. Shiraishi smiled alone, changed the topic, and prepared to start the transformation plan. My original future. Tell me. As soon as Orochimaru heard this, he immediately forgot about other things and looked at Shiraishi with great interest and urged. Seeing how interested Orochimaru was, Shiraishi began to tell with a smile on his lips. The previous things have passed, so I won't talk about it. It is now the 32nd year of Konoha, and the ninja world has begun the Second Ninja World War. Of course, this is judged from a historical perspective. At this time, there is no concept of World War II in the ninja world. In the next 1 to 3 years, the major ninja villages will deepen hatred and uneven interests in successive small conflicts. It should be the 34th year of Konoha. Konoha got the news that ranged shinobi Hanzo would take the initiative to provoke war and expand the territory. After deliberation, Konoha decided to attack ranged shinobi village first. Konoha troops, led by Master Yu, Jiraiya, and Tsunade, fought against ranged shinobi Hanzo. Due to Hanzo's poisonous gas and powerful strength, only the 3 of you survived in the end. Hanzo is affected by the powerful strength of Konoha and Fire Nation, as well as the surrounding situation. Take the initiative to admit that ranged shinobi lost and give you the title of Konoha Sannin. But the title of Sannin at this time is a disgrace to you. In the next 3 years, Konoha, Rock Shinobi, Sand Shinobi, and Cloud Shinobi fought in the Land of Rain. During this period, you also sneaked into Cloud Shinobi Village to attack Eight Tails Jinchuriki. Triggered the Cloud Shinobi Village Eight Tails Runaway event. In the 37th year of Konoha, the war broke out and came to an end, and World War II basically ended. This battle established Konoha Sannin's name. Since then, you, who have seen the cruelty and fragility of life, began to study the forbidden technique of immortality. On the road of research, I finally cooperated with Danzo. At this stage, you focus on researching first-generation cells and Konoha forbidden technique. After that, it was the period of the Third Ninja World War. You, who commanded Konoha to win the Kikyo Mountain, became one of the candidates for the fourth Hokage. But at this time, you have gradually lost yourself in the research, started to study blood succession limit and live experiment. The third Hokage saw the madness in your eyes and ultimately did not choose you to succeed the fourth generation. You, who lost the trust of the third generation, started even crazier research. Probably during this period, you who failed to learn Sage Mode. I met Libra Shigego, who was born to absorb natural energy. According to the ability of Libra, you developed an inferior version of Sage Mode. First generation Curse Seal. Also at this time, you see the power of the Sharingan and become obsessed with it. After being betrayed by Danzo, the third generation caught you doing human experiments. For the sake of past love, third generation let you go. When you defected, you gave yourself Mitarashi Anko, the only disciple at the time, infused with the first generation Curse Seal. Since then, you have become Konoha Renren and joined the Akatsuki organization. During this period, Jiraiya has never given up pursuing you to return to Konoha. Shiraishi paused, giving the dumbfounded Orochimaru some time to react. After defecting, Master, you carried out research even more brazenly. In order to study and prove yourself, you created Inin Village in Tanakuni. After several years of research, you finally completed the original undead forbidden technique, living corpse reincarnation. This is a long-lived forbidden technique that continuously transfers bodies by occupying other people's bodies. Afterwards, you saw Rinnegan, the eye known as the Sage of Six Paths, in the Akatsuki organization. Too bad Rinnegan's too powerful for you to steal those eyes. And later on, you see Uchiha Itachi with the Mangeki Sharingan. But you, who have been reincarnated, have greatly reduced resistance to illusion. Glared by Uchiha Itachi, one hand was chopped off. Since then, you have withdrawn from the Akatsuki organization and are crazily obsessed with the blood succession limit, floating around the ninja world, collecting gifted children and owners of blood successors to join the ninja village and start the optimization research of the Cursed Seal. Konoha is 60 years old, and you at the age of 50 killed 4th Kazekage. Pretending to be Kazekage and Odinin, launched Konoha's collapse plan on Konoha. In this battle, you proudly showed the results of your research to the third generation. Impure world reincarnation and living corpse reincarnation. And in advance to Uchiha Itachi's younger brother Sasuke, planted the Cursed Seal of the sky. It's a pity that you underestimated third Hokage, even though you were exhaustive. He desperately used ghouls to seal the first generation and second generation. In your arms and soul. Since then, your strength has been greatly reduced after losing your arm and soul, and you are in pain every day. Konoha's collapse plan has completely failed. Under Orochimaru's increasingly dumbfounded expression, Shiraishi told Orochimaru's future without any concealment. There is no way. How can Orochimaru recognize himself without saying this? Realize Lai win. Shiraishi didn't want Orochimaru to go down the same old ways that didn't work. Chapter 21, the Tsutsuki Clan, Sage of Six Paths, Impure World Reincarnation, Living Corpse Reincarnation, Cursed Seal, Defection, Master Murder. Listening to this series of nouns, Orochimaru stared at Shiraishi with extremely constricted pupils and shortness of breath, hesitant to speak. Master, don't worry. These are just simple information, and I have not mentioned many of your research results. Orochimaru Flow Body Replacement Technique, Software Modification, Yamada Technique, Gene Modification Technology, Cloning Technology, Cell Transplantation Technology, Artificial Human Technology. I'm just talking about your resume now. Shiraishi knew at a glance that Orochimaru had a lot of doubts to ask, so he vaccinated in advance. But when Orochimaru heard the following terms, his gaze became even hotter, and his curiosity reached its peak. Ahem. After the Konoha Crash Project, you find Tsunade for healing hands. In the end, the negotiations broke down, and there was a breaking Sannin battle with Jiraiya and Tsunade. Later, due to physical reasons, you couldn't wait for the Sasuke container to come over, so you had to reincarnate early. For the next 3 years, you help Sasuke grow up like a living father. Because to you, Sasuke is your body. Helping him grow is helping him build the strongest container. But the world is unpredictable, and the 3-year reincarnation period is approaching. After Sasuke's strength increased greatly, he took advantage of the situation and killed you. Your living corpse reincarnation was also eaten by him, and everything came to naught. Be the nourishment of Uchiha Sasuke. Shiraishi said that he couldn't help but look at Orochimaru, who was sweating profusely. At that time, Sasuke was at most a quasi-shadow, and he barely had the strength of a shadow after turning on the second spell. This wave is really a plot killer. Wait, since I'm dead, why would it appear later? Orochimaru stared at Shiraishi with a pale face and couldn't help asking. This is about your other resurrection forbidden technique. Master, you are indeed the most talented scientific research genius in the ninja world. Leave the individual for resurrection in each spell seal in advance. Although later Uchiha Itachi sealed the individual remaining in Sasuke's body with the 10-fist sword. But during the Fourth World War, you were resurrected by Sasuke with the curse mark on Anko. Since then, you have died, once have a different idea. Before, you always wanted to turn into the wind and blow the windmill of the ninja world. But at that time, you have the fun of enjoying the wind. Find yourself no longer clinging to the power of Uchiha. Especially you who know the truth about the ninja world and understand Jiraiya's death. Live directly as Jiraiya and become a brand new Orochimaru. Ananshin stayed in Konoha to do scientific research. In the end, 2 children were raised with artificial human technology, and they became both fathers and mothers. I know that's what happened to you. Shiraishi sighed, while looking at Orochimaru, who was staring blankly. Orochimaru's survivability can be called a bug in the ninja world. That kind of curse seal resurrection technique is simply a shameless forbidden technique. Not much more than the wedge of Tsutsuki. This is also one of the important reasons why Shiraishi valued Orochimaru's apprenticeship. See, that idiot Jiraiya is dead? Orochimaru muttered to himself, completely devoid of the joy of knowing his future. At this time, Orochimaru valued his 2 companions, Jiraiya and Tsunade, very much. Seeing Orochimaru's reaction, Shiraishi's eyes flickered strangely, and his heart was steady. The current Orochimaru is indeed a good companion and teacher. How did Jiraiya die? After a while, Orochimaru slowly raised his head to look directly at Shiraishi and said in a hoarse voice like ice, "Killed by Rinnegan Nagato, his apprentice in the Land of Rain. This person is also the apparent leader of the Akatsuki organization." Shiraishi said Nagato calmly, ready to start the next wave of shock. Rinnegan? Nagato? The leader of the Akatsuki organization? Orochimaru's snake eyes shot out a series of brilliant lights, chanting these few pieces of information. Okay, master, don't you want to know my purpose? Then let's start with the truth of the ninja world. What happens next will subvert your perception. Shiraishi interrupted Orochimaru's thinking at the exit and stared at Orochimaru like a torch. The truth of the ninja world. Orochimaru let out a bewilderment and quickly adjusted his breathing to calm down. He had a hunch that getting Shiraishi to say something that subverted cognition was definitely a major piece of information. First of all, master, you have to be clear. The ninja world is just a drop in the ocean in this vast and boundless universe. And the power of a ninja is actually not a simple thing. Shiraishi started to lay out a few words first, then continued after seeing Orochimaru nodded slightly in agreement. About 1,000 years ago, in the ninja world, no, there was no such concept at that time. It should be said that 2 uninvited guests came to this planet. The male name is Tsutsuki Ichishi, and the female name is Tsutsuki Kagaya. They are the Tsutsuki clan from a distant planet. The Tsutsuki family is a terrifying family that uses the Ten Tails sacred tree to devour the energy of the planet to obtain the chakra fruit and refine it into an elixir to become a god. Generally, 2 people form a group consisting of the guardian and the guardian. Men, Tsutsuki one type for the guarded. The woman, Tsutsuki Kagaya, is the guardian. The purpose of Yoshiki and Kagaya here is to plant the sacred tree to devour the energy of the planet and condense the chakra fruit to dedicate to the Tsutsuki family. 10 tails are the seedlings of the sacred tree. During each planting process, a Tsutsuki tribe needs to sacrifice himself to be devoured by 10 tails to accelerate the growth of the sacred tree. This task is the meaning of existence of Guardian Kagaya. However, the Tsutsuki family is not a real sacrificial clan. This will cause civil unrest in the family. Tsutsuki possesses an ability called Wedge. It is equivalent to Master's future curse seal resurrection. Each Tsutsuki guardian finds a vessel and places a wedge on it before sacrificing himself. Use it to revive yourself. I don't know exactly what happened at that time. Kagaya, the guardian at that time, attacked Ishur and sacrificed Ishur to the 10-tail sacred tree. It's just that Ishur was not completely swallowed by 10 tails, but escaped with half of his body. Hosted by a monk when dying, waiting for a suitable container to be resurrected. Let's skip this for now. After Kagaya sacrificed Ishur, he was injured in the battle with Ishur and came to the country of the ancestors. Later, Kagaya fell in love with the emperor of the ancestral country and became pregnant. But because of Kagaya's beauty, a war started. In order to quell the war and protect his children, Kagaya swallowed the fruit of chakra condensed from a sacred tree. Gaining great power, Kagaya easily quelled all wars and sacrificed all enemies to the sacred tree. At that time, she was regarded as the goddess of Mao. After the war, Kagaya gave birth to 2 children. The eldest son is Tsutsuki Yui, and the second son is Tsutsuki Himura. In order to continue to protect the child and to escape the responsibility of the Tsutsuki family, Kagaya began to use the sacred tree to devour human beings to make the human weapon white Zetsu. At that time, except for the country of the motherland, the entire planet fell into darkness and was robbed of energy by the sacred tree. Large tracts of land and mountains have turned into a hell on earth that cannot survive. At this point, Shiraishi looked at Orochimaru, who was bewildered, and continued to briefly describe. In this environment, Kagaya's 2 sons grew up one after the other. They also inherited the power of Kagaya, born with white eyes and a strong Tsutsuki physique. Tamamaru of Mount Maiboku seeks out Kagaya's son in order to survive. Under the leadership of Hama-Maru, Yui, and Himura saw for the first time the devastated world outside the country of their ancestors. After that, the eldest son Himura saw his lover sacrificed by Kagaya through his eyes. In anger, a pair of white eyes transformed into 3 Tomo Sharingan. At that moment, the 2 brothers, who don't know what's going on, decide to rebel against Kagaya and save the world. The eldest son, Yui, learns fairy art with the help of Hamawan. The second son, Yun, went back to cover for the big brother. When Yui came back from learning the art of immortality, he found that his younger brother Yutsun had been seen through and controlled by Kagaya. Yui uses the talisman given by Hama-Wan to skillfully untie Kagaya's control and awaken Rinnegan. Afterwards, Yui and Himura joined forces to fight Kagaya. Sensing Kagaya's will, the 10 Tails God Tree also got involved. This battle was a world-shattering, earth-shaking battle. After a desperate struggle, Yui and Himura sealed Kagaya and the sacred tree. In order to prevent Kagaya from breaking the seal, Yui divided the 10 Tails sacred tree. The bodies of Kagaya and 10 Tails are sealed in what is now the moon. The power of 10 Tails is divided into the current 9-tailed beasts, which stay in Yui temporarily. It can also be said that Sage of 6 Paths is the first 10 Tails Jinchuriki in the ninja world. Since then, the second son, Yun, has gone to the moon to guard the seal. The eldest son, Yui, walks in the ninja world to repair the earth, mountains and rivers, and spread chakra. Later, the ninja sect was established, known as the Sage of 6 Paths. Chapter 22 Ninja History is equal to Tsutsuki's game. The Tsutsuki clan, Kagaya, 10 Tails, Rinnegan Sage of 6 Paths. nine-tailed beasts. So it turns out that the legend of the Sage of Six Paths is true. Orochimaru's 3 views exploded, and he looked at Shiraishi with dull eyes. Master, this can only be said to be the origin of the ninja world. The real thing about your and my interests has just begun. Seeing Orochimaru's skeptical look, Shiraishi interrupted his thoughts. He started with Tsutsuki to broaden Orochimaru's horizons. Don't take those ninja games in your heart. Orochimaru's self-made cheat. Shiraishi naturally expects him to be as powerful as possible. Go on. Orochimaru swallowed without leaving a trace, looked at Shiraishi with complicated eyes, and forced himself to be calm. Shiraishi cleared his throat again and started talking about the main point. Sage of Six Paths also had 2 sons after founding ninja. The eldest son, Indra, inherited the fairy eye. The second son, Ashura, inherited the immortal body. The eldest son, Indra, was gifted and intelligent and invented ninjutsu madara at a young age. This played a revolutionary role in the subsequent development of ninjutsu. The second son, Ashura, is honest and stable, but he is not outstanding in ninja talent. If things go on like this, Indra is a good heir to the ninja sect. But the appearance of one person broke everything. At the same time, it also created chaos that lasted for thousands of years. This man is not even a human being. He is the embodiment of Kagaya's will. It is the conscious body Black Zetsu, created by Kagaya before being sealed by the Six Paths brothers. Black Zetsu was born with only one purpose, which is to undo the seal and revive Kagaya. But to revive Kagaya, you must have Rinnegan. With Rinnegan Sage of Six Paths, Black Zetsu dare not provoke at all. So Black Zetsu set his sights on Indra, the eldest son of Sage of Six Paths, who inherited the immortal eye. When Indra opened the 2-Tomo Sharingan, Black Zetsu began to secretly guide Indra to darkness. Under Black Zetsu's secret instigation, Indra and Ashura gradually became strangers. In this case, after Sage of Six Paths chose Ashura as the successor of Ninja, the 2 brothers broke completely. Indra left Ninja with his cronies to fight against Ashura. In battle after battle, Ashura grew rapidly with the help of Sage of Six Paths defeat Indra time and time again. Unwilling, Indra was secretly bewitched by Black Zetsu, killed his cronies, and awakened Manjiki Sharingan. Indra, who owns the Manjiki Sharingan, erupts with a powerful divine power, Susanoo. This time, Indra nearly beat Ashura. But at a critical moment, with the help of Sage of Six Paths and Ninja, Ashura inherited the power of Six Paths and awakened with style. Ashura with style beat Indra again, etc. Manjiki Sharingan with style. They are they. Orochimaru suddenly interrupted Shiraishi, shocked in disbelief. That's right, they are the ancestors of Uchiha and Senju. As I said before, with style is no ordinary escapism. It is the power of inheriting Sage of Six Paths, Yang power plus Sage body. You can also understand it as Ashura's exclusive power. Shiraishi looked at the horrified Orochimaru, agreed, and explained. Ashura's exclusive power? Orochimaru looked at Shiraishi suspiciously and asked again. That's what I'm going to say now. After this great war, the brothers fought for many years. During the period, Sage of Six Paths died, and before he died, he divided the 9-tailed beasts in his body and left a prophecy, and a steel of comfort to Indra. But this steel was not what Sage of Six Paths wished, but was tampered with by Black Zetsu and became his tool to sow discord. On the eve of Sage of Six Paths' death, Indra came back and told him that he would reincarnate and continue to destroy the ninja. Ashura, who knew the news, also began to reincarnate continuously to stop Indra. Later, the descendants of Indra and Ashura created Uchiha and Senju successively. However, apart from these 2 orthodox immortal bloodlines, there are also many descendants of immortal blood in the ninja world. Hyuga clan, Uzumaki clan, Teriyuruchi clan, except that the Hyuga family is a branch of Tsutsuki Hamura's descendants. The rest is unknown. Possibly a descendant of the Sage of Six Paths, possibly a descendant of Indra or Ashura. All in all, almost all bloodlines in the ninja world originated from Tsutsuki. This is a very cruel and real reality. Thousands of years later, under the secret planning of Black Zetsu, the ninja world entered the Sengoku era. Senju and Uchiha also become feuds. At the same time, each generation of Indra and Ashura reincarnated will use with style and Manjiki Sharingan to fight. Everything is a conspiracy designed by Black Zetsu to get Rinnegan out. The changes in the ninja world are actually a family game of the Tsutsuki family. Shiraishi looked at Orochimaru with the same complicated gaze and told the cruel and ridiculous truth of the ninja world. To tell the truth, Shiraishi was also confused after knowing this reality in his previous life. The Good Blood anime suddenly turned into a family dog blood fighting drama. It's really a dog? That is to say, first Hokage is the reincarnation of Ashura. Uchiha Madara is the reincarnation of Indra. With style, in fact, is the power of Ashura, not Senju's power. I see ridiculous, really ridiculous. After being stunned for a moment, Orochimaru suddenly smiled strangely. His words were full of sarcasm and self-deprecation. The so-called ninja god Senju Hashirama and ninja repair Luo Ujibo Madara are just a pair of poor wretches without ego. A tool man dominated by the so-called millennium hatred. Shiraishi waited until Orochimaru gradually recovered before continuing to explain. After a millennium of chaos, Black Zetsu's plan has not progressed. Until the establishment of Konoha, the situation changed. Peace-loving Uchiha Madara, who ends up being tricked by Black Zetsu's doctored steel. The combination of opposite forces will give birth to everything. In the Battle of the Valley of the End, Uchiha Madara bit off the flesh of the first generation and used Izanagi to feign death to escape, waiting for the opening of the Rinnegan. And second Hokage, Senju Tobirama, who was studying Uchiha Madara's body, panicked at that time. The Battle of the Valley of the End. First Hokage has consumed too much and is dying. If Uchiha Madara strikes again, Konoha has no one to stop him. Also at this time, second generation started with style research and more powerful forbidden technique research and development, just to prevent Uchiha Madara from attacking. What happened after that was the outbreak of first generation's death battle. Master, you know all these things, so I won't go into details. I would still say Uchiha Madara. The current Uchiha Madara is not dead yet and is hiding in a corner waiting to open Rinnegan. Alternatively, he has turned on the Rinnegan. I said before to be careful, just to prevent Uchiha Madara's prying eyes. When he turns on Rinnegan, he can awaken the white Zetsu made by Kagaya thousands of years ago and has a superpower of detection and perception. If he knows our conversation, then no one in Konoha can defeat him now. When Shiraishi said this, he looked at Orochimaru solemnly and said seriously, Uchiha Madara. Orochimaru gasped for an instant, his hairs all over his body standing on end, his eyes showing shock. That horrible guy is still alive. Chapter 23, Shiraishi's Ambition. Ninja Reality, etc. You mean, the combined power of Senju and Uchiha will give birth to Rinnegan. Not only did Uchiha Madara not die, he also possessed the Rinnegan of the Sage of Six Paths. Suddenly, Orochimaru realized belatedly and exclaimed, No, that's not the case. It is the combined powers of Indra and Ashura that give birth to the Rinnegan. It comes down to the power of Sage of Six Paths, Tsutsuki. The combination of Senju and Uchiha strengths is at most complementary to each other's abilities. For example, the Manjiki Sharingan of the Uchiha tribe who possesses Hashirama cells cannot become blind. As for Senju Oni Sharingan, I really don't know. Master, you don't have to worry about that guy Madara. Whether or not he has Rinnegan on now, he won't show up without having to. Let us now speak of his purpose and our interests. Shiraishi laughed and slapped Aaroncar's staring Orochimaru. After all, Tsutsuki is a distant and unknown existence. But the horror of Uchiha Madara is something Orochimaru has heard since he was a child. Now, Orochimaru, who only has the strength of a liege nin, it is impossible not to be afraid of Uchiha Madara the power of Orochimaru's eyes lit up, and he murmured to signal Shiraishi to continue. Uchiha Madara was misled by Black Zetsu, thinking that becoming 10 Tails Jinchuriki and opening infinite Tsukuyomi would make the world peaceful. But he doesn't know that this is actually the way to revive Kagaya. In the original history, Uchiha Madara opened Rinnegan in a dying state. With his weak body, he couldn't collect tailed beasts at all to realize Project Tsukinomi. So Uchiha Madara made 2 proposals. Around this year, Uchiha Madara will find Nagato in Rain Shinobi Village. Transplant your own Rinnegan to Nagato, waiting for Nagato to revive him with Rinnegan's forbidden technique when he becomes an adult. Nagato was later recognized by Jiraiya as the child of destiny because of Rinnegan, and he was accepted as a disciple. During the Third Ninja War, Uchiha Madara finally got the second chess piece, Uchiha Bido. Under Madara's design, Abido loses all awakened Mangekyou Sharingan. At this point, Uchiha Madara's plan was formed. Abido is responsible for monitoring and inducing Nagato, and Nagato is responsible for collecting tailed beasts and is committed to using the power of tailed beasts to make the world nuclear balanced. Before Uchiha Madara's death, Black Zetsu appeared under the guise of Madara's will to monitor Abido. Nagato, Abito, Madara, although the 3 of them have different purposes. But under the misleading of Black Zetsu, they plan to revive Kagaya. Since then, there's been a terrifying organization Akatsuki in the ninja world. Well, this Akatsuki organization is also divided into early and late stages, so I won't go into details here. In short, under the leadership of Nagato, the Akatsuki organization began to collect the tailed beast seals step by step into the 10 Tails body and revive 10 Tails. The Fourth Ninja World War was a war triggered by the Akatsuki organization. 5 Ninja Village versus Abito versus Madara and 100,000 White Zetsu battle. The specific battle is ignored, and the result is that Kagaya was successfully resurrected and sealed again by the reincarnation of the next generation Indra and Ashura. And this generation Indra and Ashura reincarnated. It is through the soul body of the Sage of 6 Paths that the 6 Paths have been given the power to seal Kagaya. This is also an important reason why your future master will change your mind after you know the truth about the ninja world. The efforts of ordinary people like us are ultimately no match for the strength of other people's blood. By the way, the reincarnation of the next generation Indra is Uchiha Sasuke. The reincarnation of Ashura is 7th Hokage Uzumaki Naruto. When Shiraishi said this, his mood became complicated, not to mention the arrogant Orochimaru. Even he couldn't get enough of this excitement at the time. Throughout Hokage, Senju Tobarama, Orochimaru, Jiraiya, Tsunade, Hatake Tsukumo, Namake's Minato, Hatake Kakashi, Uchiha Itachi, Uchiha Bido, Nagato, and a series of characters, which one doesn't have its own wonderful life and talent. But in the end, he was still defeated by the so-called blood. In Shiraishi's view, this is the absolute crushing of efforts by Chables. No matter how hard you try, you still have to fight for your father in the end. Madara and Black Zetsu, who are planning secretly, have no idea that Shiraishi has sold them out at this moment. The panties are gone. That's not really the point. Although this time, the ninja won. But Tsutsuki's pursuit is far from over. About 16 years after the Fourth World War, the Tsutsuki clan came to the ninja world to recover chakra. Uzumaki Naruto and Uchiha Sasuke fought hard to get close kills of Tsutsuki Momoshiki and Tsutsuki Kim. Because of this, Tsutsuki Urashi thought of using the time-moving noble phantasm to go back in time to harvest the tailed beast chakra. This is what I call the Tsutsuki noble phantasm plow earlier. After that, the Tsutsuki style, which resided in the monk's body thousands of years ago, also started to move. Ichishiki's strength is so terrifying that Uzumaki Naruto only defeated him at the sacrifice of 9 tails. But things are far from over. Ichishiki and Urashiki respectively left wedges for resurrection, and the battle will continue. The most frightening thing is that there will be unknown Tsutsuki coming to the ninja world to reclaim the chakra fruit in the future. This is the truth of the ninja world I know. After Shiraishi narrated everything in one breath, he looked at the dumbfounded Orochimaru and let out a long breath. No wonder you say Ninja World is the game of the Tsutsuki family. I see. Orochimaru imagined Shiraishi's narration and said with empathy, "So, my purpose is to steal the power of Tsutsuki. Master, as long as you have the power of Tsutsuki, you can not only gain great strength and the source of all blood inheritance, but also live forever, cross the void to explore and plunder other planets. Tsutsuki can rely on 10 tails to devour planets for power. So can we. This is the real immortality technique, not the pseudo-immortality technique you developed to change your body. There are currently 2 10 tails in the ninja world. One is a divided 9-tailed beast. One is 10 tails hidden in Tsutsuki style. As long as we have the strength to control the 10 tails tree, we can get 2 chakra fruits. Share the power of Tsutsuki." Shiraishi stared at Orochimaru with burning eyes and spoke his thoughts. At this point, Shiraishi isn't cheating on anything. He is an ordinary person without a cheat to deceive these evildoers. It is not a brain twitch or something. Shiraishi wanted Orochimaru to see himself clearly. So why didn't he see himself clearly? Steal the power of Tsutsuki. Go to alien planets to plunder power. Orochimaru's snake eyes were shining brightly, and the madness on his face almost burst out. This temptation is no less than spiritual opium for Orochimaru, who has a strong spirit of exploration. After a while, Orochimaru gradually calmed down and looked at Shiraishi meaningfully. Then, Shiraishi, if you reveal all the information, you will not be afraid of me and kill you. Orochimaru said that at the end, his eyes became more and more fierce, and the overwhelming murderous aura surrounded Shiraishi again. Although Shiraishi was sweating on his forehead, he didn't panic at all. First, I believe Master Orochimaru is not that kind of person. Second, it is the truth of the world. Shiraishi looked at Orochimaru with a murderous look and no fear. The truth of the world? Orochimaru took a breath and looked at Shiraishi in horror. The previous shock has already collapsed his 3 views. What kind of terrifying thing is the truth of the world that has emerged again? Shiraishi took a long breath of relief and looked at Orochimaru confidently. Although he believes in Orochimaru, it doesn't mean he is a fool. The last conspiracy is the reason why he dared to find Orochimaru. Chapter 24, The Reality of the World. Breaking the dimension. That's right, the truth of the world. Master thought, how do I know the past and future of the ninja world? After confirming again, Shiraishi looked at Orochimaru without answering the question. Orochimaru shuddered and looked at Shiraishi blankly. Yeah, how did Shiraishi know these secrets of the ninja world? If it's just a visitor from otherworld, it's impossible to know these things. Master, have you read novels or comics? Seeing Orochimaru's surprise, Shiraishi smiled and began to lay the groundwork. Novels, comics? Orochimaru subconsciously thought of Jiraiya's favorite limited-rated manga magazine, and a hint of embarrassment appeared on his pale face. Could it be that Shiraishi knew that he had looked at it critically? But in the next second, Orochimaru's expression changed, and he looked at Shiraishi in disbelief. The panic and doubt in the pupils made Shiraishi instantly admire him. Orochimaru. Indeed, Kishimoto dare not draw infinite Tsukuyomi's genius monster. That's right. As I said, I'm a visitor from otherworld. In our world, everything in the ninja world is just a comic plot. Therefore, we do not know whether this world is real or false. Master, do you want to break the dimension with me and walk out of the false world? See it for real. Shiraishi spoke out his conspiracy lightly, but Orochimaru was not moved if he didn't believe it. Anyone who knows this truth will have the desire to explore. Not to mention Orochimaru. Really take Orochimaru out, then this homemade cheat is awesome. False? Real? False? Reality. Orochimaru's worldview has completely collapsed, and his eyes are dull, and he begins to doubt life. Ahem. Master, there's a saying in our world, regardless of whether it is true or not, at least I can be sure that the current me is real. You mustn't get into a dead end. We still have to find the truth. Seeing that Orochimaru was about to lose his mind, Shiraishi interrupted immediately. Self-doubt is very dangerous, especially those monstrous existences. Shiraishi doesn't want to ruin his cheating. Regardless of whether it is true or not, at least I can be sure that the current me is real. Orochimaru's body trembled when he heard the words, and he repeated the words in his mouth. His eyes became brighter and brighter. This world is so interesting. Shiraishi, I'm looking forward to the day I go out into the world. After a few breaths, Orochimaru looked at Shiraishi softly and agreed. The address is not as polite as before. Orochimaru's attitude did not surprise Shiraishi at all. Hey, that's why I chose you, master. In my opinion, the entire ninja world is unworthy to lift your shoes except relying on the power of your blood, including the Tsutsuki clan. The recognized Shiraishi immediately flattered him and looked at Orochimaru with a smile. Shiraishi, since you know all the truth, I want to hear your advice. What a terrifying existence the Tsutsuki people are. A flash of pride flashed in Orochimaru's eyes, and he asked cautiously. Shiraishi didn't expect Orochimaru to get into the mood so quickly, so he put away his smile and sorted out his words. In the Tsutsuki family, almost everyone has high-purity white eyes, almost immortal physique, terrifying resilience, levitation, various pupil skills, and other abilities. Everyone's strength is an existence that can crush the ninja world. You may not have any idea about master in this way. According to the division of strength, the strength of ninja world is roughly divided into Jinin, Chnin, Jnin, Elite Jnin, Juaning, Ing, Chaoying, six paths class, Tsutsuki. Among these 9 levels, there are also great differences among the same levels. You should be in the Elite Jnin stage now, master. The frightening first generation and Madara are only in the Super Shadow stage. The 6 paths level is the sage of 6 paths, and Ashura and Indra who inherit the power of 6 paths. And unlike ninjas, pure chakra attacks do almost nothing against them. If you want to attack Tsutsuki, there are only 3 kinds of techniques: body technique, fairy technique, and sealing technique. For this, my original plan was to need you, master, to become the 4th Hokage. After that, the whole village will promote the cursed seal, as well as your future inventions. While strengthening the strength of the village, you can also rely on the strength of the village to crush Madara and Black Zetsu. Even Tsutsuki 1 style, we study Tsutsuki ourselves or harvest the chakra fruit. But the future master didn't come over. This plan may have to be changed. Shiraishi also had a look of pity after he finished speaking. This was originally the simplest and rude method. Unexpectedly, it got stuck at the beginning. Is that so? What a terrifying family. Things are in trouble. Orochimaru secretly gasped and said with the same disappointed dejection. However, there is no other way. Master, I still have a second backup hacking solution. It's just that this method is a little risky. Shiraishi regained his composure, looked up at Orochimaru, and grinned. Shiraishi is serious about laying winds. Effort? Absolutely impossible. Any solution? Orochimaru's body trembled, and he asked as if he had been injected with chicken blood. Hey, in the ninja world, there's actually a way to travel through time and space. In the kingdom of Lulan, in the kingdom of wind, there is an altar that seals the dragon's veins. Open the altar, and you will be carried through time and space by the power of the dragon vein. It's just that this time travel is a passive time travel, and the time is still limited. Whether to travel through the past or the future is unknown. So to try this, I recommend getting a few helpers, just in case. Orochimaru was taken aback by Shiraishi's answer, then frowned thoughtfully. What if you don't travel through the future? If it is to other useless or more terrifying eras, it is useless work. This method is too risky. After thinking about it, Orochimaru shook his head and rejected it. Shiraishi thinks about it too. The ghost knows where the dragon veins took them across. It's too dangerous if the Four Wars or Sutsuki strike. Then there's only one last solution if you want to hang up. Master, learn Impure World Reincarnation as soon as possible. I heard that Mito-sama has the ability of 9 tails to perceive good and evil, so he uses ability to find the lingering Uchiha Madara. Then find 2 white Zetsu avatars, Master. You summoned the first generation and second generation in its heyday and brought Uchiha Madara ahead of time. Reclaim the Rinnegan and turn passive into active. Then it's a showdown with second generation. Let him help us research the power of the seal and Tsutsuki. Second generation's mind and research level are also very strong. Shiraishi gritted his teeth and came up with the final plan for lying flat. This time, Shiraishi will not spare even the dead. Orochimaru looked dumbly at the seemingly determined Shiraishi, and the corner of his mouth twitched. This guy must be too impatient. Shiraishi, Mito-sama is not something I can ask. Besides, the forbidden technique, Impure World Reincarnation, is not something I can touch at all. We are not in a hurry. Just take our time. According to what you said, the source of that cursed seal, Libra Shigego, has not yet been born. It is impossible to start researching the cursed seal at all. So let's take it slow. After careful consideration, Orochimaru rejected Shiraishi's suggestion again. No, I don't have the time to wait. Master, we only have 10 years. In 10 years, I will leave here. The matter of Libra weighing me can be modeled on the genes of his parents. Although those people are not as perfect as Zhongwu, it is enough to do experiments. Shiraishi spread his hands helplessly, which is why he was anxious. 10 years. Orochimaru shrank his pupils and shouted in surprise. In this way, the time is too tight. Knowing the power of Tsutsuki, Orochimaru didn't want to just go out with Shiraishi. No solution anymore. Then the only thing to do is explain the stakes to Mr. Sarutobi. Shiraishi, except for who you are. About Tsutsuki and Uchiha Madara, I will tell Mr. Sarutobi to get his support. After struggling for a moment, Orochimaru gritted his teeth and said, "You sure? Third generation is no simple guy. You killed him in the future." Shiraishi looked at Orochimaru unexpectedly, with suspicion on his face. "You also said that that is the future. We don't need to tell him about this. Without his support, we simply would not have been able to speed up the process." Orochimaru said calmly, with an expression that you won't betray me. Master, you're still thinking about this matter. Maybe Master will come over in 2 days. Who knows whether he chooses to travel through today or tomorrow. If you must, I suggest you let the third generation kill Danzo first. The water here is too deep. I'm afraid you won't be able to grasp it. Shiraishi advised Orochimaru with a strange look. Unexpectedly, the current Orochimaru trusts Sarutobi Hiruzen so much. Chapter 25 Contract Richi Cave. Finally learning ninjutsu kill Danzo? Orochimaru hesitated, eyes fixed on Shiraishi, waiting for his explanation. Danzo, who has been blinded by the position of Hokage. Now he is secretly persecuting the Senju people, and he will do many things that will harm Konoha in the future. These include the assassination of Nagato, the Uchiha genocide, the assassination of the third generation, etc. He has done too many stupid things. I don't want to say more. In short, killing him is beneficial and harmless. Senju and Uchiha should not exterminate the genocide, but should vigorously promote reproduction. These 2 tribes will bless the cursed seal in the future, which will be Konoha's sharpest sword. Shiraishi looked at the suspicious Orochimaru and talked. You said Senju and Uchiha were exterminated? Orochimaru's eyes sharpened, and he grasped the point and asked. Shiraishi hadn't said any of this before. That's right. Senju went through the wood-style experiment and the baptism of World War II, and then Tsunade was left alone. Uchiha is preparing to change by force because of oppression. Under the instruction of Danzo, Uchiha Itachi joins forces with Obito to exterminate the genocide. Uchiha Sasuke is the only one left in the clan. Danzo and Obito took the opportunity to collect a large number of Sharingan for themselves. This method of killing chickens and taking eggs is too stupid. Now that we know the secret of Senju and Uchiha, this cannot be done. Shiraishi's simple explanation made Orochimaru gasp again. The two clans who created Konoha for peace will end up like this. This is really a big joke. I see, just because Danzo dared to reach out and murder Nawaki, you must die. Shiraishi, you said I'll think about it in 2 days. Taking advantage of these few days, I will start special training for you. But before that, ninja summoning technique. Orochimaru let out a long sigh, bit his fingers, and slapped his hands on the ground. With a bang, a long white snake with thick thighs appeared in front of Orochimaru. After the white snake appeared, the scarlet snake's mouth opened, and the contract scroll belonging to Richie Cave was spat out by it. Signed the contract, Shiraishi. Orochimaru stood behind the white snake with a smile on his lips and said expectantly, Orochimaru, without software modification, is not the human-shaped storage bag that spits out things. Thank you, Master. Shiraishi was not hypocritical. He picked up kunai and pricked his fingers with a thank you and began to sign the summoning blood contract. In other words, this thing really hurts. This is a chakra test strip. Let me see your chakra attributes. After signing the contract with Shiraishi, Orochimaru turned around and took out a test paper and handed it to Shiraishi. Is this what it feels like to have a backer? Recalling the hard life of the previous life. How refreshing is it in comparison? Shiraishi sighed secretly, took the chakra test paper and entered chakra. It turned out to be the chakra of the 3 attributes of fire, wind, and earth. Shiraishi, you're a genius too. Looking at the changing chakra test strip, Orochimaru said in surprise, Genius? Genius is a joke in front of blood. Master, what ninjutsu are you going to teach me? Shiraishi scoffed at this and asked eagerly instead. Gorgeous ninjutsu is what Shiraishi longs for. Okay, since you have the 3 attributes of fire, wind, and earth, I will teach you the 3 attributes of ninjutsu and summoning technique. Sea-level fire style, great fireball technique. Sea-level wind style, great breakthrough. D-level earth style, soil double. Orochimaru opened his mouth while undoing the previous enchantment. Okay, Shiraishi didn't dislike it as a low-level ninjutsu and agreed wholeheartedly. Knowing that Shiraishi has no plugins, he is not so ambitious. So, let's start with fire style. The point of the Great Fireball is to gather the chakra at the back of the throat. Orochimaru took Shiraishi outside the courtyard and started teaching. It may be a change in the aptitude of the fusion of the 2 bodies. Shiraishi, who has integrated the memory of his predecessor, easily understood the key points. Zi Wei, Shun, Hai Wuyin. Fire style, great fireball technique. Shiraishi slowly completed the madra with both hands, condensing chakra, and shouted in a low voice. The moment he opened his mouth, a stream of fire spurted out from Shiraishi's mouth and condensed into a fireball with a diameter of 0.5 meter not far away. When Orochimaru saw this scene, the surprise in his eyes flashed away, and the joy was beyond words. Accepting a genius as a disciple is the long-cherished wish of every teacher. The following teaching made Orochimaru even more convinced of this. Whether it is wind-style great breakthrough or earth-style soil double, Shiraishi is easy to learn. This surprised both Orochimaru and Shiraishi. Shiraishi even took the opportunity to learn another B-level earth style to Liubi. It's just that there was no success this time. Only a thin earth wall, 0.5 meter high, was raised. Shiraishi, it's up to you to master these ninjutsu later. You go back and rest first. I'm going to talk to Tsunade about Nawaki. Orochimaru looked at the fading sky, turned to Shiraishi. Before I knew it, it was already dawn. Tsunade. An imperceptible blaze flashed in Shiraishi's eyes and then quickly dimmed. He who practiced and consumed chakra has no energy to see the style of the chest bully. Okay, master. Thinking of the long days to come, Shiraishi nodded and turned to go home. Yamashiro Shiraishi. What a crafty fellow. Perhaps it is not impossible to try Dragon Vein crossing once. Then let me turn into the wind, push your unknown windmill, and see the wonderful future. Orochimaru looked at Shiraishi's receding back, with complex colors in his eyes, and whispered in a low voice. A moment later, Orochimaru smiled and walked briskly towards the Senju tribe. Under the sunlight of dawn, a long shadow was drawn. Call finally finished Orochimaru. This time it won't go bad the last time. Orochimaru, I really mean this, master. Don't let me down. Shiraishi, who returned home, looked at Chuyang outside the window and muttered softly. The route, you mean, the mission failed. Shimura Dans, who was in his prime, stared at Aburame Ryoma and said coldly, yes, at that time, Nawaki was Shadow Clone, and Orochimaru went back to the village and used Summoning Beast directly. I have no chance to do it again. Aburame Ryoma half kneeled in front of Danzo, respectfully without emotion. Shadow Clone? According to my intelligence, Nawaki should not know that ninjutsu. Danzo was surprised when he heard the words and couldn't figure out why. As for suspecting that Orochimaru was preparing ahead of time, that might not even have occurred to Danzo. His action this time was a temporary idea, and it was impossible to leak it out. Then, it can only be an accident. Go down and get ready. Next time they go out of the village, be sure to bring back Nawaki or his body parts. Danzo lightly smashed his cane and said coldly, the wood-style experiment already has a clue. As long as there is Nawaki's body tissue, it will be possible to fuse first-generation cells that can be used. Danzo is confident about it. At that time, he can, thinking of that position, Danzo's eyes became hot instantly. His fighting spirit was high. Chapter 26 New Teammate. Uchiha Mikoto. 5 peaceful days passed by in a flash. During these 5 days, Shiraishi not only mastered the 4 ninjutsu, but also spontaneously learned to climb trees and tread water. Start preparing for the training of Rasengan. This morning, Shiraishi, informed by Orochimaru, came to the team assembly point with his backpack on his back. Hello, I'm Uchiha Mikoto, and I'm joining the Orochimaru team in place of Satoshi Morikawa starting today. Please take care of me in the future. Shiraishi came to the meeting point with his front feet, and a beautiful girl with black, long, and straight stepped forward to say hello. On her back, she also carried a cloth bag. The 2 straps let her show vividly. Although she is not mature, it is eye-catching enough. You, Uchiha Mikoto. Shiraishi was stunned for a moment. Suddenly his body shook, and he blurted out an exclamation. How the hell did Ertsuzi join Orochimaru's team? Looking at the black-haired girl in military uniform and that sweet smile, Shiraishi swallowed, feeling a little dazed. Our half-player teammate went offline without saying a word. You know me? Also, although we were not in the same class before, we were also in the same period. We will be partners from now on. Mikoto blinked his big eyes in surprise, suddenly thought of something and blushed slightly. According to Mikoto, the hot-eyed Shiraishi may be one of her admirers. During the ninja school period, she was favored by many male classmates. Hello, I'm Shiraishi Yamashiro. Seeing the shy girl, Shiraishi instantly cast away the doubts in his heart and said sunnily, a team of 2 men and 1 woman is the key to the bonds of Konoha shinobi. His meow is finally not a combination of dragon suits. Shiraishi, I heard from my sister. This is a decision between Orochimaru-sensei and Hokage-sama. Said to cultivate an elite team. Morikawa, Satoshi's potential is not enough. He was eliminated. Nawaki came to Shiraishi's ear and whispered in a serious voice. I believe you, Ghost, you big idiot. The corner of Shiraishi's mouth twitched, and he complained secretly. He didn't believe Nawaki's explanation at all. Could it be that Orochimaru wants to control Uchiha and Senju through the 2 of them? Shiraishi looked at Mikoto and Nawaki with strange eyes, suspicious for a while. Everyone is here. Let me introduce. Uchiha Mikoto will be a member of our team in the future. Orochimaru suddenly came to the 3 of them in an instant, looked at Nawaki and Shiraishi, and smiled lightly. A pair of snake eyes glanced at Shiraishi and Mikoto inadvertently, and the corners of his mouth raised slightly. Before, Orochimaru agreed to be the instructor because of Nawaki. The other 2 disciples, Orochimaru didn't care. But the appearance of Shiraishi gave Orochimaru a new idea. After discussing with Tsunade whether it is for the safety of Nawaki or Shiraishi. This teammate must not be a dragging presence. Originally, the Hyuga clan was the best choice. After all, Hyuga's rolling eyes can avoid many crises. Knowing the secrets of Uchiha and Senju, Orochimaru resolutely chose Uchiha to prepare for the future layout. During the same period, only Uchiha Mikoto met the requirements. So there is now a change. Orochimaru didn't know that Mikoto was Itachi and Sasuke's mother, just because Mikoto was the most talented genin in Uchiha at the same time. Mr. Orochimaru, Mikoto, we already know each other. What's today's task? Nawaki asked excitedly. The last mission made him very depressed. Our mission today is a sea-level mission to the Land of Winds. Let's go now. Orochimaru glanced at Shiraishi without leaving a trace, his eyes glowing brightly. Sea-level mission. Great. I'm sure I'll play nice this time. Shiraishi, my sister has given me special training these days. Nawaki clenched his fist and shouted excitedly. His words were full of pride. Those small eyes secretly glanced at the quiet Uchiha Mikoto with a hint of arrogance on his face. Yes? Sorry, Mr. Orochimaru also gave me special training. Shiraishi saw Nawaki's careful thinking at a glance and confronted him mercilessly. In front of beautiful women, Shiraishi does not allow others to pretend. Let's go. Orochimaru looked at the two jokingly, turned around, and left with an urge. Nawaki, Shiraishi, go. Mikoto smiled sweetly at the two of them and followed quickly. Coming, Nawaki rubbed his head with a smirk and immediately ran after him. Well, this feeling has an inner taste. The bond of the ninja. Shiraishi looked at the three people in front of him and smiled slightly, muttering indistinctly. Led by Orochimaru, the three soon left Konoha for the border of the Land of Winds. Behind them, three shadows followed closely behind Orochimaru's team. There is no border between the Land of Fire and the Land of Wind. If you want to go to the Land of Wind, you can only use the Land of Rain or the Land of Rivers. Orochimaru's route this time is to use the country of the river to avoid fighting with other ninja villages. The speed of a ninja is quite amazing, and the Orochimaru team traveled all the way. Finally, in the evening, they crossed the border of the Land of Fire and entered the Land of Rivers. Okay, rest here tonight. Cross the country of rivers and rush to the mission location tomorrow. Orochimaru suddenly stopped beside a small river and spoke to the slightly panting trio. Call finally, I can rest. This is the first time I have traveled for such a long time. Nawaki sat down on the ground and said carelessly. Shiraishi and Mikoto didn't speak, just sat down and rested quietly. You are a reorganized team. Now let's get to know each other's strengths so that we can cooperate in the battle later. Orochimaru sat on a big rock and looked around the three of them, squinting his eyes. I'll come first. After my sister's special training, I've already learned a superficial strange force boxing. Although I'm not as strong as my sister, my physical skills have grown a lot. Nawaki immediately stood up and patted his chest, saying arrogantly, of course, this is not what he learned in 5 days. Rather, Nawaki has practiced before, but now he is officially getting started. Not bad, Nawaki. Shiraishi looked at Nawaki in surprise and exclaimed he didn't expect this guy to be able to punch strangely. Hey, I'm very good now. Nawaki raised his head proudly and said, secretly looking at Mikoto. Well, I'm not bad either. In the past few days, I have learned summoning technique, wind style, great breakthrough. Fire style, great fireball technique. Earth style, soil substitute. Earth style, earth flow wall. Well, that's all. Under Nawaki's increasingly embarrassed expression, Shiraishi spoke about his situation indifferently. Hateful teacher, Orochimaru, is too eccentric. I also want to learn summoning and earth-style ninjutsu. Seeing Mikoto's admiring gaze at Shiraishi, Nawaki shouted dissatisfied. He has dual attributes of earth and water, so there is no problem in learning earth style. This is why Nawaki is valued by the family and Danzo. In their cognition, as long as the properties of soil and water are combined with nature transformation, what style can be developed? Well, let's talk about it after we return to the village. Orochimaru said with rare embarrassment, turning his head to look at Mikoto. Shiraishi and Nawaki also turned their heads to look at the past. Being stared at by the three of them like this, the gentle and generous Mikoto couldn't help but get a little nervous. Well, I'm not as good as Shiraishi. I have now learned the Uchiha Kunai, throwing technique, and the Shuriken technique. Fire style, great fireball technique. Fire style, Phoenix fire technique. Mikoto timidly met the eyes of the three. After speaking, he cast an admiring look at Shiraishi. The ninjutsu that Shiraishi knows is definitely one of the best in Genin. Okay, now that we know each other's situation, then you can cooperate with the battle, and then protect yourself. Orochimaru exhorted the three of them warmly. His face suddenly changed, and he looked in a direction behind him full of killing intent. It was discovered. I was planning to do it in the Kingdom of Wind. It doesn't seem to be necessary now. The disguised Aburame Ryoma emerged from the woods with two subordinates, staring directly at Nawaki with cold eyes. This time he brought two Genin men with him just in case. Such a lineup is not afraid to face Orochimaru. Chapter 27 Design Danzo. Sarutobi's squad appears the few at the root don't need to pretend. Danzo sent you here. For Nawaki, right? Orochimaru stared at the three of Aburame Ryoma with sharp eyes and spoke resolutely first. The three who were about to make a move froze and looked at Orochimaru in shock. How could Orochimaru know their identities? Mission changes, no one left. Aburame Ryoma's eyes flashed fiercely, and he said in a cold voice with no expression on his face. Black parasites emerged from the cuffs, forming a ring around his hands. Originally, he was only going to hold Orochimaru down, steal or kill Nawaki. Now that they have been seen through, they can only kill them all without leaving any survivors. Don't cause trouble for Master Danzo. The other two root Genin looked at each other while striking an aggressive stance. Shiraishi saw this pair of eyes popping, and his brain quickly thought about the way to break the situation. The opponent knew Orochimaru's strength and dared to speak wildly. At least it was a ninja team of Genin level. As long as a Genin comes over, they'll burp. Then the only thing left is to escape. With Orochimaru's strength, they're just a liability here. As long as they escape, Orochimaru's snake attribute will not die here. Mikoto, Nawaki, prepare to retreat. Shiraishi, who wanted to understand, let out a low cry, bit his finger, and began to seal. The fastest way to escape is naturally the reverse summoning technique. Shiraishi didn't think the three of them would be able to escape from Genin's pursuit. Not everyone has the conditions for Genin to kill Genin. No, I want to fight with Orochimaru's sensei. Nawaki, a stunned young man, didn't care what Shiraishi thought and rushed forward after dropping a word. Fool, now our escape is the best solution. Shiraishi yelled and quickly grabbed Mikoto's small hand and grabbed Nawaki with the other. As long as Nawaki is caught, he will cast the reverse summoning technique and take the two away. Mikoto froze at Shiraishi's sudden movement. A faint blush appeared on his face. Growing up so big, she has never experienced such a thing. Shadow binding technique. A root ninja on the opposite side saw the opportunity and quickly completed the seal with both hands to attack the three of Shiraishi. 3 pitch-black shadows linked the three of them in an instant, making them unable to move. Secret technique, Insect Jade. Aburame Ryoma attacks at the same time and intercepts Orochimaru. The last root ninja drew his long knife and lunged straight at Nawaki. It was all just breaths, so fast that Shiraishi didn't even have time to react. This is the battle of ninjas. How scary is Genin? Kill Nawaki, and it's my turn. No wonder Nawaki dies so fast. He doesn't have a brain at all when he goes out. Damn, this killed lousy. Shiraishi looked at the root ninja rushing towards Nawaki with horror, and a thought flashed across his face. A hole. It was too late to say it, but then it was too late. A soft drink suddenly sounded in Shiraishi's ear. The root ninja rushed over quickly and flew backwards at a faster speed. Many trees were smashed along the way, and a long gully was pulled out. It seemed that he could not survive. fire-style flame bullet. At the same time, a rough male voice appeared, and a ball of fire hit the root ninja who was attacking with shadow. The root ninja of the Nara family dodged immediately, and the shadow binding technique was self-defeating. Tsunade Jiraiya. Shiraishi looked at the horrible root ninja, swallowed his saliva, turned his head and shouted in surprise. Miss Tsunade, who was in her youth, was clenching her fists. Her pretty fair face was staring angrily at Genbu Ninja. A simple pale yellow single ponytail tied behind the head, wearing Orochimaru's signature waistcoat. That prominent existence, fluctuating with anger, makes people sink. Well, although compared to the future, it is more than 1 grade smaller. Another tall and rough white man is naturally our young hero Jiraiya. Looking at the two figures, Shiraishi's worries disappeared instantly. He meow. So Orochimaru is waiting here. No wonder Orochimaru was a stable group just now, and he was not in a hurry at all. Tsunade, Jiraiya, Aburame Ryoma, who was fighting with Orochimaru, saw that the two of them were secretly in trouble and turned around to run away. The root ninjas of Nara's family followed. Their strength is no match for the combination of these three. But the moment the two turned around, Ki froze in place. A man with a mustache and a combat uniform appeared in front of them. His fierce and majestic eyes made the two of them feel chills on their backs, and their limbs felt like 1,000 weights. Fire, Lord Hokage. Aburame Ryoma was frightened and subconsciously shouted. The current route is still affiliated with the organization under Umbu. Danzo is fledgling, and the root members are not as unscrupulous toward Hokage as before. Sarutobi Hiruzen stared at Aburame Ryoma with a gloomy face. Anger and shame flickered on his face. From embarrassment to anger, the aura belonging to Shadow mixed with chakra broke out in the audience. The two people at Jinbu, who were already anxious, became even more panicked. Danzo, the BD, was right by Orochimaru. Sarutobi teacher, what do you say now? Tsunade quickly passed Nawaki and came to Sarutobi Hiruzen and said indignantly. Sarutobi Hiruzen blushed when he heard this, a little embarrassed. Before Orochimaru said that Danzo was going to attack Senju, he still didn't agree. But now this ironclad fact makes Sarutobi Hiruzen lose all face. Old man, this matter must be explained to Tsunade. Seeing the opportunity, Jiraiya immediately stood in front of Tsunade and spoke sharply to Sarutobi Hiruzen. Sensei Sarutobi, I'm going to kill Danzo. Orochimaru slowly approached Jiraiya and Tsunade with a fierce look in his eyes. Today, it's Orochimaru's game for Danzo. With Orochimaru's personality, it is impossible to wait for Danzo to continue assassinating. He was never a gentleman. At this time, Shiraishi looked at the Sarutobi team in a daze. Orochimaru, has he reached an agreement with Sarutobi Hiruzen? But it doesn't look like that. We'll talk about this matter after we return to the village. Orochimaru, I wonder if the second thing you said is true? Under the watchful eyes of the three lovers, Sarutobi Hiruzen still did not agree directly, looked at Orochimaru and said. Orochimaru's eyes flashed brightly, and he nodded in agreement. Miss Sarutobi, Tsunade yelled angrily. His resentment was beyond words. I'll give you a satisfactory explanation, Tsunade. Sarutobi Hiruzen placated the irascible Tsunade cheekily with deep eyes. The current Sarutobi Hiruzen's prestige over the three is still very strong, so Tsunade agreed with a pout. So I'll come out. Sarutobi Hiruzen, who settled the three of them, turned his head and shouted into the depths of the forest. Swipe, swipe, swipe. The silver-haired captain of Umbu, Hatake Sakumo, came to Sarutobi Hiruzen with 3 subordinates. Take the 3 of them back to Konoha and put them under surveillance. Sarutobi Hiruzen pointed at Aburame Ryoma and the 3 of them and ordered, etc. Take Nawaki and Mikoto back too. The tasks that follow are not for them. Orochimaru interrupted suddenly, giving Shiraishi a meaningful look. Seeing Orochimaru's eyes, Shiraishi's heart moved. Thinking of the current geographical location and the Sarutobi team, he immediately had a guess. Go. Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded to Hataki and agreed. Ms. Orochimaru, sister, Uncle Hokage, why can Shiraishi go? I also want to carry out the task. Don't go back to the village. Nawaki, who was in a cloud, heard this, danced and shouted, dissatisfied. Shiraishi, can you let me go now? Mikoto, who was awakened, also reacted, looked at Shiraishi with a blushing face, and said softly, "Oh, sorry." Only then did Shiraishi see his tightly grasped little hand, and said embarrassedly with a bright smile. But the hand didn't let go at all. Just kidding. He was nervous just now and didn't pay attention to his feelings. If you catch everything, if you don't feel it, it's not for nothing. Well, the little hands are quite soft. Mikoto, who is a good girl, did not go through such a thing, watching Shiraishi messing up in the wind. The apology has been said, but you let go. Chapter 28 Confession Tsunade. Orochimaru's thoughts, little devil. You are quite courageous. Look like me, Jiraiya-sama. Do you want to peep into the women's bathroom with me? The boar Jiraiya's eyes lit up when he saw Shiraishi's actions, and he walked over to Shiraishi's side and smiled lewdly. Sorry, I don't have that kind of vulgar taste. Shiraishi looked at Jiraiya with disdain and said curtly, peeping and are the things Shiraishi despises the most. A man is upright. What methods can he use to find a woman? Don't choose such a nasty method. Jiraiya looked down at the contemptuous Shiraishi. The corners of his eyes twitched slightly. Damn brat. To say that my uncle's hobby is vulgar? You hold a little girl's hand to be advanced? You little pervert. Annoyed, Jiraiya pointed at the little hands of the two and shouted loudly. The already shy Mikoto's beautiful eyes trembled, and he quickly withdrew his small hands and took a few steps back to distance himself from Shiraishi. With a puffed face, he turned his head, unhappy. She was just frozen by Shiraishi's movements just now. But she didn't like Shiraishi. TCH boring. Shiraishi spat on Jiraiya disdainfully and turned to Tsunade and the others. Miss Tsunade, Ming people don't say dark words. I like you. Please date with me. Shiraishi came to Tsunade carelessly and confessed directly under Nawaki's stunned expression. This scene not only made Sarutobi Hiruzen, Orochimaru, and Jiraiya stunned in place. Mikoto, who was held by Shiraishi just now, was also a little dizzy. Shiraishi, isn't he her admirer? But why did he do that just now? Unable to understand, Mikoto's small face collapsed, and the eyes that looked at Shiraishi gradually became disgusted. Damn kid, you still say you're not a pervert. Jiraiya yelled and rushed forward, grabbing Shiraishi's collar and glaring at her redneck. He had a crush on Tsunade for so many years without formally confessing his love, and he was preempted by a brat. Still Orochimaru's disciple. What a shame. GLRR Jiraiya, don't do this. For Orochimaru's sake, kid, I'll forgive you this time. I don't like brats, especially brats who are weaker than me. Tsunade teased with a trembling smile, stretched out a finger, and flicked Shiraishi's forehead lightly. In the next moment, Shiraishi felt a huge force coming, and he couldn't help but retreat tens of meters away. Fortunately, Tsunade struck well and did not cause any harm to Shiraishi. Ha 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 Shiraishi UBD, you still want to pursue my sister. Really overwhelmed. Are you stupid now? Seeing Shiraishi's embarrassment, Nawaki gloated and shouted. Shiraishi dismissed Nawaki's stupid look. UBD, confession failure is to be expected. Shiraishi did this just to impress Tsunade as an equal. As a teacher of Orochimaru, there is a natural gap between him and Tsunade in terms of seniority. Waiting a few years for his development will not help his pursuit of Tsunade. Traveling through Hokage and World War II, how could Shiraishi let go of this immortal goddess? Tsunade must catch up. Ahem. Nawaki, Mikoto, follow Anbu back to the village. Orochimaru looked at Shiraishi strangely and broke the deadlock with a dry cough. Ms. Orochimaru. Nawaki was upset and tried to argue, but was scared back by Tsunade's white and tender fist. It was like this last time, and it's also like this time, so angry. Obviously, I'm ready to show my talents. Nawaki muttered unwillingly and followed behind Hataki Sakumo. Aburame Ryoma, they have been temporarily sealed by Anbu, Chakra, Sarutobi Hiruzen and Orochimaru are not afraid of any accidents. Yamashiro Shiraishi. Orochimaru said that you know that the ancient country of Lulan has the power to travel through time and space. You sure? Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at Shiraishi after Nawaki and his group left. Jiraiya and Tsunade also put away their expressions and looked at Shiraishi seriously. Shiraishi looked at Orochimaru questioningly, wondering what he said. Shiraishi, time travel is a dangerous power. If Sunagakure knows about this ability, Fire Nation will be very passive. Therefore, our task this time is to ascertain the ability of the Dragon Veins. Seal it or destroy it. Orochimaru gave Shiraishi a reassuring look and explained the situation in a calm manner. Do you want to tell Sarutobi Hiruzen the future information? Orochimaru is going to travel again. Orochimaru took a long time to decide to bring Sarutobi Hiruzen this time. On the one hand, let Sarutobi Hiruzen know about Danzo's actions. On the one hand, there is a guarantee after traveling through time and space. In case of crossing to a dangerous place, Kage-level Sarutobi Hiruzen is much stronger than the three of them elite Chunin. Hearing Orochimaru's explanation, Shiraishi nodded to Sarutobi Hiruzen. This result shocked Sarutobi Hiruzen's pupils, and he looked at Shiraishi even deeper. In the past 2 days, Sarutobi Hiruzen has rummaged through Shiraishi's files. The results available are Konoha Genin, whose parents died during World War I. Alone. Let's go. I only have 2 days left. Sarutobi Hiruzen stared fixedly, let out a low drink, and quickly walked away. Tsunade and Jiraiya followed immediately. Orochimaru grabs Shiraishi and follows. After half a day, it was already midnight. Under the ultra-high speed of the Sarutobi team, a group of 5 people finally came to the ancient country of Lulan in the Land of the Wind. With Shiraishi's reminder, several people easily came to the altar of Lulan Ancient Kingdom. Under this altar, there's the power of the Dragon Vein that contains huge energy. Just open the altar and we will travel through time and space. Shiraishi looked at the empty altar and explained to the 4. Then let's begin, traveling through time and space. So looking forward to it. Jiraiya shouted excitedly as she was gearing up, completely lacking the poise of a mortal Jiraiya. At this time, Jiraiya hasn't finished practicing Sage Mode yet. I don't know if I will see the future or go back to the past. I'm also kind of looking forward to Tsunade's beautiful eyes glowed with strange color. He stared at the altar's red lips and bit his lips in agreement. Let the old man study the altar seal first. We can't open the seal directly, so as not to alert Sand Shinobi. Sarutobi Hiruzen stroking his mustache and staring at the sealing formula on the altar said solemnly. In this regard, several people have no opinion. Orochimaru immediately followed Sarutobi Hiruzen to study the sealing technique together. To say that Sarutobi Hiruzen is worthy of being hailed as a ninjutsu professor by later generations. In less than an hour, he thought of a way to open the small hole. Shiraishi only saw Sarutobi Hiruzen slapping the ground after showing a wave of handprints in a flashy manner. Seal Rome. After a low shout, the feet of the 5 people standing on the altar were empty and fell down at the same time. A blinding white light flashed before Shiraishi's eyes, and he lost consciousness. At the same time, the figures of the 5 people bathed in the white light flickered and disappeared at the same time. The fleeting white light disappeared before breaking through the building. The altar is empty, as if nothing happened. Chapter 29 Dragon Vein Crossing. Orochimaru panicked. Shiraishi, wake up. In a daze, Shiraishi faintly heard Tsunade's call and gradually regained consciousness. The moment Shiraishi opened his eyes, he was awakened by the dilapidated Lulan in front of him. Even in the last second, there was still a majestic presence. But Shiraishi didn't feel emotional for long, but thought of something with a happy face. Doesn't the destroyed Lulan mean that they have traveled through the future? This is much luckier than traveling through the past. Just don't know what time it is. Shiraishi, you wake up and go. We have to rush to Konoha as soon as possible to know what's going on. Orochimaru came to Shiraishi, looked at Shiraishi meaningfully, and said. From Shiraishi's smile, Orochimaru had seen that Shiraishi knew something. Master, time is limited, or use the summoning beast to hurry. We won't be here long. Shiraishi gave Orochimaru a look. Orochimaru didn't say much. He bit his finger and quickly completed the seal and slapped the ground. Ninja summoning technique. With a bang, a giant gray-brown snake 30 meters long appeared at the feet of Orochimaru and Shiraishi. Sarutobi Hiruzen, Jiraiya, and Tsunade jumped onto the snake head with ease. Hurry up! Sarutobi Hiruzen stood beside Orochimaru, looking at the yellow sand all around him with a complex expression. Orochimaru stepped on the snake's head lightly, and the giant snake frantically swam towards the land of fire, as if stimulated. The speed is so fast that Shiraishi can't stop talking. Shiraishi and the others took half a day's journey last night, and the giant snake took a few people into the country of rivers in about an hour. Not long after entering the country of rivers, the giant snake was hindered by a giant jungle tree that appeared and had to slow down. This made both Sarutobi Hiruzen and Orochimaru frown. Haha, now it's my white-haired boy Jiraiya's turn. Orochimaru, your snake can't do it. Seeing this, Jiraiya, who had been eager to try for a long time, laughed and stepped on the head of the snake and flew into the air, biting his fingers and starting to form seals. This guy is still so pushy. Tsunade looked at the jumping Jiraiya and couldn't help shouting with his forehead. Orochimaru didn't respond and looked at Jiraiya calmly. When traveling the forest, snakes are indeed inferior to toads. Ninja summoning technique. With Jiraiya shouting loudly, the tall toad appeared in front of everyone. The appearance of the huge toad Guangi directly turned the surrounding tall trees into bushes. With two big knives behind his back, he was suddenly majestic. Xiaoguang, you have grown so big. No wonder I used almost all of my chakra. I'm really exhausted. Jiraiya stood panting on the head of Toad, looking at the oversized Toad. Although they can use summoning technique through time and space, the summoning beast that can be summoned is the summoning beast of this time and space. Orochimaru, Tsunade. No, why is there third Hokage? Jiraiya, has third generation been reincarnation by Orochimaru in Pure World? How many of them are the enemies? Only I can't stop them. Just when Orochimaru and the others were about to jump on Todairo's head, Todairo's eyes sharpened, and the huge toad eyes stared at Orochimaru and said. Shiraishi's heart skipped a beat when he heard this, and his face changed drastically. I heard this means after Konoha's collapse plan. Thinking of this, Shiraishi couldn't help casting a sympathetic look at Orochimaru. This is not what he leaked. It was you who hit the muzzle yourself. At the same time, Orochimaru, who knew the future, changed his face. His pale face was completely pale, and there was faint cold sweat on his forehead, staring at the bewildered Sarutobi Hiruzen with alert eyes. If he faces Sarutobi Hiruzen now, all three of them will die. At this moment, Orochimaru regretted why Twitch brought Sarutobi Hiruzen here. It's not dangerous either. Xiaoguang, what nonsense are you talking about? Orochimaru and Tsunade are my companions. The old man is also my teacher. How could they be enemies? What is this impure world reincarnation you speak of? Jiraiya, who was also confused, patted Gamma Hiroshi on the head and questioned. Impure world reincarnation? How do you know this? Sarutobi Hiruzen put a snake head under his feet, came to Jiraiya's side, stared at Toad and asked, What? Third generation? You are not controlled by Orochimaru? No, why are you so young? This is how the same thing? Didn't you get killed by Orochimaru? When was it revived? Toad Hiroshi's three life-threatening questions made Sarutobi Hiruzen's face more and more ugly. Jiraiya and Tsunade also opened their mouths wide at the same time, looking at Orochimaru in unison. Orochimaru, you killed Sarutobi Sensei in the future. Tsunade, who was standing beside Shiraishi, subconsciously distanced himself, eyes wary. No, how is it possible? Tsunade, hero, don't talk nonsense. How could Orochimaru do such a thing? Without the slightest hesitation, Jiraiya spoke in support of her friend Orochimaru. Tsunade and Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at the culprit Gemehiro suspiciously, waiting for its explanation. Shiraishi, what's going on? Why does this happen? I, who already knew the future, should not have done such a thing. Orochimaru took the opportunity to turn his head to look at Shiraishi and asked in a panic. He dared to travel through time and space with Sarutobi Hiruzen because he knew that he would never do rebellion and kill third generation again. But the current situation made Orochimaru a little panicked. This may be the future of parallel worlds. Master, you have a hold on. Shiraishi glanced at Tsunade next to him and said awkwardly. He and Orochimaru agree with each other, and neither thinks that the Konoha collapse plan will happen in the real future. So, this is the only possibility. Orochimaru's head was full of black lines when he heard this explanation. Facing Sarutobi Hiruzen, who is eyeing him like a tiger, how does this make him stand up? Do you stand up for your life? No solution anymore. Master, now we can only show our cards. Then go to the current Orochimaru to confirm my guess, and get his research results by the way. Otherwise, I'm afraid you won't be able to go back to the past. Shiraishi didn't want Orochimaru to fall down here, so he came up with an idea. Orochimaru was shocked when he heard this, and his tense mood instantly relaxed. What do you see me doing? Jiraiya, you summoned me to join the battle when Orochimaru united with Sand Shinobi to destroy Konoha. Later you said that the third generation was killed by Orochimaru. You said it yourself. Why did you go back on your word? Seeing the expressions of Tsunade and third generation, Toba confessed honestly. Destroy Konoha. Tsunade, Jiraiya, and Sarutobi Hiruzen exclaimed at the same time. They never imagined that Orochimaru would do such a thing in the future. For a moment, three pairs of sharp eyes looked at Orochimaru. This made Orochimaru, who had just relaxed, tense again, with 10,000 toads rushing past in his heart. The danger of this crossing is waiting for him here. Mr. Sarutobi, do you believe me when I say this is fake? I didn't kill you, and I didn't intend to destroy Konoha. Orochimaru tidied up his thoughts and met the cold eyes of the three of them and said, I testify to this. Master, he really didn't have this idea. If he had, he wouldn't have brought you here from the past. Seeing that the three of Sarutobi did not intend to relax, Shiraishi hurriedly opened his mouth to make amends. Past? You, Jiraiya, Tsunade, Orochimaru, third generation of the past. Only then did Hama Guang understand, and suddenly realized when he looked at the four of them. Chapter 30, Konoha's 61st year. Sannin's breaking battle, Orochimaru, Yamashiro Shiraishi. What do you seem to know? Your performance is not the first time you know what the future will look like. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at the two of them thoughtfully, his brain flashing through the previous scenes, and asked loudly. Both Shiraishi and Orochimaru froze in embarrassment at the same time. They were preconceived, afraid that Sarutobi Hiruzen would tear Orochimaru with his hands, and they really didn't expect this. Sarutobi teacher, I will tell you everything when I go back. Time is running out now. I need to hurry up and find the current Orochimaru. After taking a deep breath, Orochimaru stabilized his mind and shouted, taking advantage of the situation. That toad Hiroshi! How old is Konoha now? How long has it been since Konoha's collapse plan? Is fifth generation up to date? Seeing this, Shiraishi took the opportunity to ask, confirming the travel time period. Toad Hiroshi just questioned Jiraiya and had no other reaction. Then it turns out that this is before Jiraiya was killed, after the Konoha collapse plan. Find the current Orochimaru more quickly if you set the time. Toadairo turned his head to look at Jiraiya and got Jiraiya's nod before turning his huge head. It's Konoha's 61st year now. It's been a while since the last battle. 2 days ago, I heard from Toad Tadashi that Jiraiya was looking for Tsunade to succeed fifth generation. Konoha probably doesn't have fifth Hokage yet. Under the surprised gazes of several people, Hama Guang told everything he knew. This news changed the faces of Sarutobi Hiruzen, Tsunade, and Jiraiya again. Konoha's 61 years? Here, It is 29 years later. Let Tsunade succeed, 5th generation? Wait, shouldn't the 4th generation take over after I die? Isn't Tsunade in the village? Sarutobi Hiruzen couldn't help but muttered, looking at Tsunade in surprise. At this moment, Sarutobi Hiruzen thought a lot. If Tsunade was in the village, plus Jiraiya, how could he be killed by Orochimaru? Find me to succeed, 5th Hokage? Tsunade opened Sakura Momo's small mouth in surprise and exaggerated, very surprised. To be honest, although Tsunade loves Konoha, he never thought of becoming Hokage. Instead, Nawaki is the one clamoring to be Hokage. Konoha's 61 years? In other words, I am 51 years old, and Tsunade has become an old woman. Xiaoguang, did you make a mistake? Is Konoha gone? How did you think of letting Tsunade succeed, 5th generation? Jiraiya was stunned for a moment, then opened his mouth wide and said stupidly, "See, come also." Hearing that she was said to be an old woman, Tsunade, who was in her youth, exploded in an instant. Jump on Toad's head and repair Jiraiya with fists and feet. Tsunade isn't up yet. The joy on Shiraishi's face flashed, and he immediately thought of what time it is. Master, the so-called seeking wealth and wealth. I have in Thailand, no. I have a way on Pamphlet Street. The risk is a little bit, but the benefits are beyond imagination. If all goes well, you'll have everything Orochimaru has right now. Become a Kaga-level powerhouse in no time. I am 90% sure of success. Do you dare to take a gamble? Shiraishi thought of a lay-win plan in an instant and abducted Orochimaru. Sarutobi Hiruzen, who knew Konoha's collapse plan, made Shiraishi feel a little insecure and had to speed up Orochimaru's strength improvement. Instant Kaga level! Orochimaru's breath was stagnant. His golden vertical pupils glowed with longing, and he looked at Shiraishi in surprise and waited for the next sentence. With 90% certainty, does this success rate still need to be considered? Orochimaru, who knows the future, is now dissatisfied with his own strength. That Toad Guang, let's go to Gambling Town Bancha Street. The current Orochimaru, Jiraiya, Tsunade are all there now. Shiraishi saw that Orochimaru acquiesced and immediately jumped on top of Gamahiro's head and shouted. Orochimaru also dispels summoning and comes to Shiraishi at the same time. But subconsciously, Orochimaru distanced himself a little from Sarutobi Hiruzen. Gambling Town Pamphlet Street? I see, Sarutobi Hiruzen groaned, looking at Tsunade, who was bullying Jiraiya. If it was that place, this guy Tsunade might actually be there. Xiaoguang, hurry up, hurry up. I'm going to show Tsunade how she turns into an old woman. Hit me like this. Looking at Tsunade with a swollen face, Jiraiya urged with a blue nose and swollen eyes. Shut up, Miss Ben is not an old woman. Tsunade said stiffly and punched Jiraiya on the head again. But she still panicked in her heart. It would be too scary if I really saw myself turning into an old woman. At this time, Tsunade has not yet touched Uzumaki Mito's 100 healings mark, not to mention the development of the Ageless by How technique on this basis. An even more powerful ninja art, mitotic regeneration. Pamphlet Street, sit tight. Hearing Jiraiya's order, Toad gave a slap in the face and exerted all his strength. The huge body burst out with strong jumping power in an instant, and Shiraishi almost fell down due to the wind pressure caused by the jump. If I hadn't practiced climbing trees and treading water before, I would definitely be ashamed this time. Toad can cover nearly a mile with just one jump. In this vast forest, they're like a group of ducks in water and waves. The figure quickly disappeared in the country of rivers and entered the country of fire. Pamphlet Street outside of town, a gray-brown giant snake about 100 meters long fell into the swamp. Middle-aged Jiraiya and middle-aged Orochimaru stand against each other on the body of a snake. Below, middle-aged Tsunade is using healing jutsu to urgently treat a dying Naruto. Yakushi Kabuto and Shizen each lying on their side to heal themselves. The child's condition is not good. The middle-aged Orochimaru turned his head to look at the dying Naruto, licked his lips, and said jokingly, Tsunade is a medical expert. Don't worry, Naruto will be fine. You are still distracted from fighting me. Orochimaru, you are very confident. The middle-aged Jiraiya countered indifferently, with anger and determination in his eyes. No, that's not what I meant. The middle-aged Orochimaru made a perfunctory sound, and his gaze towards Naruto gradually turned cold. As a former member of the Akatsuki organization, the middle-aged Orochimaru knows the purpose of the Akatsuki organization. Collect 9 tail beasts to make war weapons and deter Ninja World. Maybe kill Naruto now to make 9 tails disappear for now. It is more in his interest, thinking of the terror of the Akatsuki organization and the pair of renegades. The middle-aged Orochimaru made up his mind instantly. Chakra erupts underfoot, and middle-aged Orochimaru jumps off the snake and goes straight for Naruto. I won't let you succeed. The middle-aged Jiraiya roared and quickly chased after him. Do not bother me. The middle-aged Orochimaru snorted coldly. The tongue in his mouth turned into a long rope and wrapped around the ankle of the middle-aged Jiraiya in an instant. The drugged middle-aged Jiraiya was thrown flying in the blink of an eye and hit the ground with limbs stiff. The middle-aged Orochimaru let out a smirk, opened his mouth and spit out the Kusanagi sword, and charged at Naruto. Oops! Seeing Orochimaru's attack, the middle-aged Tsunade shrank his pupils and subconsciously stood in front of Naruto. Just when the middle-aged Tsunade was about to be pierced through the chest by the grass pheasant sword, a figure suddenly appeared between the two of them. With a bang, the middle-aged Orochimaru who was rushing towards him was kicked and flew away. When the middle-aged Orochimaru saw the startled glance, the sinister snake eyes instantly stared at the boss, his face full of disbelief. The middle-aged Tsunade also showed shock. Looking at the familiar back, his pupils shrank and he was dumbfounded. That is no, it's impossible. How could it be? 3. Lord Third Hokage. Middle-aged Tsunade, middle-aged Orochimaru, Yakushi Kabuto, and Shizen exclaimed at the same time. Chapter 31 Longevity. I've wiped out my master Tsunade. I didn't expect you to be in such a mess now. That guy Jiraiya is also so unreliable. Sarutobi Hiruzen glanced at the middle-aged Jiraiya lying on the corpse and turned to the stunned middle-aged Tsunade with a complex expression. Anyone who sees the 3 beloved disciples killing each other will feel bad. Old man, didn't Jiraiya say you were killed by Orochimaru? How did you appear here? The middle-aged Tsunade stared at Sarutobi Hiruzen in shock and trembled, completely oblivious to Sarutobi Hiruzen's age. Hey, Sarutobi. At the same time, the middle-aged Orochimaru got up from the ground and said in horror, how did Sarutobi Hiruzen appear here? Still so young. Could it be that this old guy is hiding something? The middle-aged Orochimaru, who had lost a pair of arms, suddenly panicked and prepared to retreat without the slightest hesitation. At this moment, Toad Hiroshi's body suddenly fell from the sky. With a bang, a burst of dust was splashed. Similarly, the Shiraishi on the top of Toad's head are also exposed. I'm so exhausted. Jiraiya, I'm going back to mount my Boku first. Toad let out a panting breath, and it turned into white smoke and disappeared. Shiraishi and the others instantly fell from Hama Hiroshi's head and stomped on the ground. That is, the middle-aged Orochimaru looked subconsciously. His pupils shrank suddenly, his mouth opened wide, and his body trembled. He actually saw another self. At the same time, the middle-aged Tsunade, Shizen, Yakushi Kabuto, and the awakened middle-aged Jiraiya also saw the youth Sannin. Suna, why is Tsunade so young? But, well, it's spectacular. She is indeed the woman I like. Seeing the stunned middle-aged Tsunade, Jiraiya exclaimed, revealing that Brother Pig was imagining a lot. Jiraiya, you big pervert. Tsunade, who was also surprised, changed his face and sent Jiraiya flying with a punch. This made Shiraishi very angry. Tsunade is his default wife. How can Jiraiya take advantage of this guy? Well, I will resolutely not let Tsunade dress so boldly in the future. So far, so good, it's not too late. Shiraishi, who came back to his senses, looked at the surrounding situation and muttered with the corner of his mouth curled up. Before, Shiraishi was worried that the three guys had run away. Now it seems that the timing is just right. Shiraishi, is your method really feasible? Orochimaru looked at the middle-aged Orochimaru who had a sinister face and exuded evil intent, and subconsciously took a step back. Master, he has been reincarnated many times, and his soul strength is definitely not as good as yours. The reincarnation competition is about mental power and soul, not strength. It is very likely that you will devour him in turn. Of course, it is not impossible for you to be swallowed by him. It's up to you to decide. When Shiraishi saw the sinister look of the middle-aged Orochimaru, he was also a little bit heartbroken and kicked the ball backhand to Orochimaru. He won't take the blame for this. That's right. Shiraishi's way is to let Orochimaru go back to the future Orochimaru. Only in this way can the fastest growth of Orochimaru be guaranteed. I believe that the middle-aged Orochimaru, who is eager to reincarnate, will not let go of Orochimaru, the original container delivered to his door. Master Orochimaru. Yakushi Kabuto flashed to the middle-aged Orochimaru's side, staring at the four members of Sarutobi's team, and became vigilant. Miss Sarutobi? Tsunade? Jiraiya? Me? Quack quack. I probably guessed what is going on. Pocket, stop that Tsunade for me. I'm going to confirm one thing. The middle-aged Orochimaru looked around at the few people and changed his mind, and rushed towards the three of Shiraishi with a few instructions. A strange color flashed under Yakushi Kabuto's lens, grabbing Kunai and quickly following. Coming, Shiraishi snorted, turned, and ran without hesitation. This battle is not something that a rookie like him can participate in. It's more important to survive. Shiraishi's run did not catch the attention of middle-aged Orochimaru at all. He now has only youth Orochimaru in his eyes. The middle-aged Orochimaru rushed to Orochimaru's side quickly. His neck suddenly extended and bit Orochimaru. The hidden shadow, Snake Hand. Orochimaru made a move with one hand, and several Lion Majesty shot out from the cuff, and his body backed away quickly. Middle-aged Orochimaru's eyes soared, and the elongated snake head avoided several Lion Majesty at a tricky angle, and once again bullied him. Yakushi Kabuto was also facing up to young Tsunade at the same time. Ninja, Shuriken, Shadow, Clone Technique. Orochimaru threw 2 shurikens with a wave and quickly completed the seal and shouted. The thrown shuriken instantly turned into 2, 2 into 4, 4 into 8. In the blink of an eye, the dense shuriken shot at the middle-aged Orochimaru. Yeah. Is it only to this extent? Then I won't play with you. The middle-aged Orochimaru glanced at Sarutobi Hiruzen. A flash of memory and fear flashed in his eyes, and he opened his mouth to spit out a large amount of Lion Majesty. What a terrifying amount. Orochimaru couldn't help shrinking his pupils when he saw the snake wall formed by a huge number of Lion Majesty. At the moment when Orochimaru was distracted, the middle-aged Orochimaru's head suddenly broke out from under his feet. Oops! Orochimaru screamed and was about to dodge, but the middle-aged Orochimaru was even faster. It entangled Orochimaru almost instantly, opened its mouth with a ferocious face, and bit Orochimaru's neck directly. Fire-style Fire Dragon Flame Bullet. Under extreme urgency, Sarutobi Hiruzen quickly completed the knot seal with both hands and shouted, because middle-aged Orochimaru's head is entangled with Orochimaru's body. So Sarutobi Hiruzen launched an attack on the middle-aged Orochimaru's body, intending to encircle Wei and save Zhao. But what Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't expect was that the middle-aged Orochimaru didn't care about his body being burned at all. Instead, it quickly bites on Orochimaru's neck. The prepared Heaven's Curse seal is planted directly into Orochimaru's body. The pseudo-immortal technique of the seal of Heaven's Curse immediately started a fight with Orochimaru's chakra, causing Orochimaru to lose his fighting power in an instant. Orochimaru let out a muffled grunt and fell to the ground with his neck trembling. It's my real body. I don't know why, but this is a good opportunity. The middle-aged Orochimaru yelled in surprise, leaving only one head with its mouth open. A white snake sage shot out from his mouth, and in the blink of an eye, it burrowed into the painful Orochimaru curse mark. What kind of monster is that? Sarutobi Hiruzen stared blankly at the fleeting white snake sage and exclaimed, "Reincarnation, start." Orochimaru-sama is too impatient. Seeing this scene, Yakushi Kabuto grumbled in dissatisfaction, forced Tsunade to punch him, and quickly retreated to Orochimaru. Tsunade, who was full of doubts, didn't pursue him, and came to Sarutobi Hiruzen in a flash, looking at the middle-aged Tsunade hesitantly. "You, what's wrong with you? Apart from being beautiful, is the future me so bad?" Tsunade looked at the middle-aged Tsunade, who was suffering from hemophobia and trembling with his beautiful eyes, and couldn't help asking. The middle-aged Tsunade was relieved a little because of the chaos of several people, but he did not overcome hemophobia as in the original plot. "You are also Master Tsunade? Let me explain this to you." Shizen next to him heard the meaning of Tsunade's words and said curiously and respectfully, "Oops, that could it be Orochimaru's reincarnation technique? Damn, I can't let him succeed." The middle-aged Jiraiya, who regained consciousness, saw a white snake sage's face change drastically, got up, and rushed to Orochimaru. "What? Reincarnation? In other words, am I so inferior in the future?" Thought I'd surpass Orochimaru. Jiraiya stood up staggeringly, looked at the middle-aged Jiraiya rushing past, and shouted unwillingly, "Future? You are us in the past." The middle-aged Jiraiya was taken aback when he heard the words, then subconsciously turned around and asked, "Yes, indeed. It's just that I didn't expect your current strength to be so weak. Didn't I finish Sage Mode at your age?" Hateful. Jiraiya looked at the middle-aged Jiraiya with hatred and doubted himself. Middle-aged Jiraiya blushed when she heard the words, "A group of embarrassing." "Wrong. You say that Orochimaru is the past Orochimaru? Now I'm in big trouble." The middle-aged Jiraiya suddenly thought of something, turned around, and rushed towards Orochimaru quickly. If they're successfully reincarnated by Orochimaru, it will be dangerous for them to go back to the past. At this moment, the tyrannical chakra broke out, with Orochimaru as the center. The purple serpentine chakra revolves around Orochimaru like a chakra tornado. Orochimaru, who was still in pain just now, stopped howling, and a state of Curseal 1 emerged on the surface of his body. The golden vertical pupils slowly opened. The coldness in the eyes made one's heart palpitate. A cold feeling of not getting close to strangers emanated from Orochimaru. Seeing this, Shiraishi's heart sank, and his face showed horror. How can it be so fast? Could it be that the backlash failed? Longevity, I got rid of my master. Chapter 32, Kaga level Orochimaru. 6th Shiraishi, reincarnation technique. What ninjutsu is this? Sarutobi Hiruzen was surprised when he heard the middle-aged Jiraiya's voice. The so-called reincarnation technique. It is the forbidden technique of immortality and evil that Orochimaru researched for his own ambition. The magic of gaining eternal life by occupying other people's bodies. The middle-aged Jiraiya came to Sarutobi Hiruzen, watching the erupting Orochimaru warily, and explained, "Occupy someone else's body to gain eternal life." Sarutobi Hiruzen's pupils narrowed, staring in shock at Orochimaru bathed in the chakra storm. This disciple actually developed this forbidden technique. I didn't expect it to be my own body. The fit was perfect. Not only can it be quickly fused, but the soul of both hands is also restored. Sarutobi-sensei, I've kept you waiting. I didn't expect that we would meet again under such circumstances. Orochimaru had a black curse mark on half of his face, stared at Sarutobi Hiruzen with a fierce look, and said with a strange smile, "Now he doesn't love Sarutobi Hiruzen, who is in his prime. Master Orochimaru, you have finally recovered. That is really good." Yakushi Kabuto was overjoyed. The cold sweat on his forehead quickly faded and said in surprise. He faced Sarutobi Hiruzen with 1 Jnin, 2 Jiraiya, and 2 Tsunade, and it would be a lie to say that he was not nervous. Fortunately, Orochimaru's speed is very fast. It took less than a minute before and after. You are that white snake sage just now. Future, Orochimaru. Sarutobi Hiruzen turned cold when he heard this and looked at Orochimaru with an unfriendly expression. That's right. Although there is nothing wrong with what Jiraiya said, his views are too superficial. This is no evil, forbidden technique. It's the immortal technique, living corpse reincarnation, developed by me. When Orochimaru said this, the madness in his eyes made his heart palpitate. To understand the truth, to be the man who holds everything, it must take a long time. Physical life is too short for me. Even if it is called Hokage, it will eventually become history under the passing of time. For me, reincarnation technique is just a door to truth, not my ambition. My ambition is to study those strange individuals for a long time and obtain the truth of the world. Well, Mr. Sarutobi, can you tell me how you got here? I'm very interested in this. Orochimaru stuck out his tongue and licked his lips, arrogantly telling Sarutobi Hiruzen his greatness. Wrong. The master has not been swallowed by Orochimaru yet. Shiraishi's body shook when he heard Orochimaru's heartfelt words, and his eyes showed surprise. If it is absolutely swallowed, it will accept everything about the other party, including memories. But the current Orochimaru doesn't know this. Then, there's only one possibility. Master was temporarily suppressed by Orochimaru. Seeing the curse marks on Orochimaru's face again, the corners of Shiraishi's mouth twitched slightly. In addition to being a diluted version of Sage Mode, the curse seal is also a means for Orochimaru to suppress the opponent's spiritual will. As long as Orochimaru fades away from the state of the curse seal, the master should be able to counterattack successfully. Third generation, my master has not been swallowed by him. Hurry up and beat him up. As long as he removes the curse mark, my master will be able to wake up. Shiraishi opened his mouth and shouted at Sarutobi Hiruzen, causing everyone's face to change in fear. Orochimaru looked at Shiraishi in horror. Overwhelming killing intent rushed towards Shiraishi. He couldn't figure out how Shiraishi knew his secret. He has been reincarnated many times with a weak soul, so he used the curse seal to suppress the soul of the container to complete the reincarnation. Youth Orochimaru has a complete soul and strong mental strength. Even if the souls of the two are perfectly matched from the same root, the middle-aged Orochimaru does not have an overwhelming advantage. He is now only using the curse seal to suppress the young Orochimaru and temporarily take over the body. It is impossible for Shiraishi to know this secret. Wrong. How did this Genin brat sneak into the Sarutobi team? Could it be that he is the key to the Sarutobi team, coming here from the past? Orochimaru stared at Shiraishi with cunning snake eyes, feeling overwhelmed. I remembered. You are my former subordinate, Shiraishi. In my memory, you should have died in World War II with Nawaki and Morikawa Satoshi. Why are you here? Looking at Shiraishi's familiar face, Orochimaru suddenly remembered something, stared at Shiraishi and shouted. As soon as this remark came out, Sarutobi Hiruzen, big and small Tsunade, and the two Jiraiya froze in place at the same time. Indeed, that face was indeed Nawaki's teammate. It's been so long, I almost forgot. The middle-aged Jiraiya subconsciously looked at Shiraishi and suddenly realized. Rope, Nawaki is dead. Shocked by the news of Nawaki's death at the same time, Tsunade and Jiraiya stared blankly at Orochimaru in disbelief. The youth Orochimaru said before that Danzo was going to persecute Nawaki, but he failed after all. And now, they actually heard the news of Nawaki's death. Master Tsunade. Master Nawaki was accidentally killed by a detonating talisman during World War II. This is one of the reasons why Tsunade-sama suffers from hemophobia. Shizen next to Tsunade explained in time, causing middle-aged Tsunade's pupils to shrink and his tender body to tremble uncontrollably. Seeing this, Shizen immediately shut up about Uncle Kato Dan, hugged the middle-aged Tsunade to comfort him. World War II? What does this mean, Orochimaru? As Hokage, Sarutobi Hiruzen keenly captures the vocabulary of war. Quack quack. It seems that you still don't know the war that will happen in the ninja world. Teacher Sarutobi. However, I am under no obligation to tell you this. Shiraishi-kun, maybe we should catch up and talk about. Orochimaru tossed his messy black hair and stared greedily at Shiraishi intently. Shiraishi mentioned that Jinin would come with the Sarutobi team, which is itself a very bright doubt. Orochimaru was attracted by the Sarutobi squad before, not noticing Shiraishi. Now, it seems that just taking Shiraishi will also know the secret of their coming here from the past. You have to protect me. Nawaki's death has been changed. Don't think about it. Go and siege Orochimaru. Shiraishi was terrified by Orochimaru's eyes and immediately dodged behind Tsunade and said anxiously, Nawaki death changed? Big and small Tsunade was shocked at the same time and exclaimed with different thoughts. Change? Impossible, Shiraishi-kun. Even if you know how Nawaki died, he can't escape. Who made that child born with darkness? Death is his destiny. Orochimaru, who has good ears and eyes, heard Shiraishi's words. A flash of regret flashed in his eyes, and he said complicatedly, What does it mean? Orochimaru, what do you know? Tsunade, big and small, was taken aback at the same time, looked at Orochimaru and asked, Tsunade, I didn't expect that you still don't know the real reason for Nawaki's death. What a pity. Tsunade, I've seen Nawaki's guts at the root. You are familiar with the wood-style experiment. It is an experiment that Mr. Sarutobi tacitly approved. You say, Nawaki, he will not die. Should it be damned? Orochimaru stared at the middle-aged Tsunade and shouted with playful eyes, What? The wood-style experiment. Danzo that be D. Ms. Sarutobi. To Jiraiya, big and small Tsunade exclaimed at the same time. Kiki cast questioning and angry glances at Sarutobi Hiruzen. Sarutobi Hiruzen was stared at by everyone. His old face froze, and he was speechless for a moment. The wood-style experiment is indeed a project he acquiesced to. At the same time, when everyone's attention was diverted, Orochimaru smiled and walked to Shiraishi's side in an instant. He was not so kind to answer their doubts. Everything was just a pretense of looking for an opportunity. Without Tsunade's attention, Orochimaru led Shiraishi back tens of meters in an instant. Oops, Orochimaru, Sarutobi Hiruzen, and the middle-aged Jiraiya were the first to react and rush forward. Yeah. Goodbye, everyone. Shiraishi-kun, I think we'll have a good time talking. Orochimaru dodged back quickly, mocking wildly, and was about to run away with Shiraishi. Orochimaru, you sick child, there is indeed a conspiracy. However, I'm 6 years older than you. After Shiraishi was captured, his expression was calm, and he didn't panic at all, and he smiled ironically. Under Orochimaru's amazed gaze, he turned into a stand with a bang. This kid has prepared a body replacement technique in advance. Orochimaru shrank his pupils and frowned in surprise. At this moment of pause, Sarutobi Hiruzen's shuriken has been thrown over. Orochimaru backhanded the stand-in block, bit his finger, and started to seal. Since the sneak attack fails, let's attack by force. But at the moment of seal, Orochimaru's snake pupil was startled, and the expression on his face was extremely gloomy. I saw that the stand-in what he threw turned into Shiraishi with a bang after being stabbed by Sarutobi Hiruzen's shuriken. So, it was just a transformation technique. He was tricked by the brat. Orochimaru looked at the grinning Shiraishi and said bitterly, and slapped the completed handprint on the ground. Ninja summoning technique. A white smoke covering the sky, and the sun flashed, and a huge purple-black shadow loomed, like a swimming dragon. Chapter 33 Master-Student Duel. Orochimaru goes crazy. Shiraishi clutched the wound on his abdomen that had been stabbed by the shuriken, and tremblingly looked at the huge purple and black ring 10,000 snakes. The terrifying sense of oppression made Shiraishi sweat profusely and his heart tremble. Watching the anime, I don't think one snake is so scary, but standing on the scene is like a natural disaster. Shiraishi saw at a glance that the huge snake was at least hundreds of meters long. The ferocious snake head is comparable to a small house, and its stout body is bigger than the harmony that Shiraishi has sat on. You know, a 33-story building is only about 100 meters away. The size of this 10,000 snakes is almost as tall as a building. Shiraishi is now 1.6 meters tall, not as big as Wancha's emerald green pupils. How can this not be daunting? Ninja summoning technique. Just when Shiraishi was stunned by 10,000 snakes, The middle-aged Jiraiya's voice came from his ear. Under the huge white smoke, the exaggerated toad Fumta appeared on the stage. Shiraishi, go to Tsunade to heal your wounds. You're not safe here. Sarutobi Hiruzen appeared beside Shiraishi at the same time, standing in his way. It's not that you, an old boy, are too ruthless. Damn, I was almost killed by my own people. Lousy is brainless to stay here. Shiraishi looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen's back and sneered, turned around, and ran away. When Tai has grown so big, it seems that you're not too frustrated. Future me. Jiraiya looked at Bunta under his feet, put his hand on the middle-aged Jiraiya's shoulder, and said with a smile, I told you I was drugged by Tsunade just now. Although there are many questions I want to ask you, but now is not the time. Go down and stare at that kid with glasses. This place is not suitable for you. The middle-aged Jiraiya stared at Orochimaru and 10,000 snakes with a serious face, and said solemnly. Jiraiya looked at 10,000 snakes and Orochimaru on the opposite side, swallowed his saliva, and rushed towards Yakushi Kabuto. Jiraiya, it seems that you have grown up too. I thought you were still so unreliable. Sarutobi Hiruzen jumped on top of Bunta's head, looked at the middle-aged Jiraiya, and said in relief, Certainly I'm Jiraiya, a fairy known as one of Konoha's Sannin. Old man, shouldn't you give Tsunade an explanation after the battle? Otherwise, I'm afraid she will refuse to succeed 5th generation. The middle-aged Jiraiya smiled smugly and said seriously like never before, Konoha Sannin? Don't worry, I'll give Tsunade an explanation. Sarutobi Hiruzen was surprised, nodded heavily. They're the Sarutobi team, the Hiroshi Toad said. It's a nostalgic picture. Jiraiya, are you going to have a youth meeting? When Tai turned the giant toad eyes to scan the surroundings and exhaled a violent puff of thick smoke. Fool, it's been a long time since I called you. So stop making such silly jokes. This is not a party. One snake will leave it to you. Middle-aged Jiraiya yelled, staring at Orochimaru across the way. Jiraiya, don't kill me. Just consume his chakra to get him out of that state. There are still many things that Orochimaru has not reported. Sarutobi Hiruzen gave a warning, and his hands began to form a draws. Come on, Mrs. One. The middle-aged Jiraiya nodded in understanding and urged Wentai, whispering. Mrs. One yelled, leaped into the air in an instant, drew out a big knife, and went straight at 10,000 snakes. Orochimaru, you have to give me 200 sacrifices for such a troublesome thing. One snake also finished communicating with Orochimaru and rushed towards Bunta with a loud roar. Rest assured, Orochimaru agreed casually, and the snake pupil looked at Shiraishi from time to time. Fighting is just a means. Finding opportunities to snatch Shiraishi is the primary goal. The two giants, Wentai and Wan Snake, collided in an instant. Wentai's 40-meter broadsword was bitten by Wan Snake from the side, and at the moment of stalemate, the two sides fought hand-to-hand, fire-style Haoyin technique. Sarutobi Hiruzen, who had sealed in advance, let out a loud cry and opened his mouth to spit out a crimson flame. This is the fire-style secret technique passed down from generation to generation by the Sarutobi family. The super high temperature can instantly turn people into ashes. Orochimaru narrowed his snake pupils and quickly dodged to make seals with his hands. Don't try to use ninjutsu. Ninja, Chaos Lion Hair technique. The middle-aged Jiraiya shouted loudly, and the white hair on the back of his head instantly stretched tens of meters to wrap around Orochimaru. Want to bind me? Orochimaru snorted coldly in disdain, opened his mouth, and took out the grass cone sword. With two swishing sounds, the hard white hair was cut off instantly by the grass pheasant sword. Orochimaru seized the opportunity and took advantage of the momentum with a Kusakasa's sword. At the same time, Wan Snake's tail also swung towards Wentai like a whip. Wentai immediately gave up the long knife, kicked the ground, and jumped up instantly. Not only dodged Wan Snake's attack, but also lengthened Orochimaru's offensive. Good chance, seeing this. Orochimaru flashed a bright light and immediately manipulated 10,000 snakes to rush towards Shiraishi. Wentai, use oil. The middle-aged Jiraiya's eyes flashed fiercely, and he quickly closed his hands and shouted, "Clear!" when Taishin yelled with understanding, slapped his stomach with both hands, and a large amount of toad oil blocked the way ahead of one snake. Fire style, toad, oil flame bomb. The middle-aged Jiraiya opened his mouth to spit at the same time, and fire style instantly ignited a huge amount of toad oil. In an instant, the raging fire instantly engulfed 10,000 snakes. The fire style, which covers the sky and the sun, spreads for hundreds of meters like a sea of fire. Okay, so scary fire style. Jiraiya, who was confronting Yakushi Kabuto, saw this scene and shouted in surprise. "Master Orochimaru!" Yakushi Kabuto couldn't help but exclaimed in fear when he saw 10,000 snakes engulfed in flames. But the existence of Jiraiya made it impossible for Yakushi Kabuto to leave here. Just when the two of them were startled, one snake suddenly came out from the bottom of Toad Wentai's feet. The snake's body wrapped around Bunta with lightning speed. Orochimaru held a sword in one hand and attacked Sarutobi Hiruzen and middle-aged Jiraiya at the same time with his tongue spurting out from his mouth. "Tsunade, I think you should call Katsuyu out to fight. This makes me feel very insecure." Shiraishi shrank his pupils and said to Tsunade when he saw the 10,000 snakes neighing in the sea of flames. His injuries have been healed by Shizen. As for Tsunade, Naruto is being treated in place of the trembling middle-aged Tsunade. The halo of the protagonist of this product is quite durable. Ben and I can't participate in that kind of battle. Also, don't call me Tsunade. Tsunade, who cast healing jutsu, looked embarrassed and shouted coquettishly from embarrassment. "Okay, Tsunade, then let's go. Don't harm the fish pond." Shiraishi nodded naturally, urging a few people to move strategically. No, Naruto is not suitable to move now. His injury cannot withstand the bumps. Shizune, who was holding the middle-aged Tsunade, refused. "This guy can't die easily." Shiraishi looked at Naruto lying dead, gritted his molars, and said helplessly, "How can the protagonist die so easily? No, it's too bad to have no weapons." Sarutobi Hiruzen dodges away from Orochimaru's pheasant sword again, biting his fingers and forming seals quickly. "Is that old guy again?" Orochimaru gave an evil smile and increased his attack speed. But Sarutobi Hiruzen was in his prime after all, easily dodged Orochimaru's attack, and took advantage of the opportunity to slap behind Orochimaru. Ninja summoning technique. With a burst of smoke, Orochimaru was kicked away by the sudden appearance of the Ape Demon King. "Who's calling a Sarutobi?" The Ape Demon King was about to question something when he saw Sarutobi Hiruzen's monkey face change drastically, showing shock. "Old friend, we meet again. Let's transform." Sarutobi Hiruzen knew what the Ape Demon King was surprised about, but it was not appropriate to talk now, and urged with a light sigh. The Ape Demon King heard the transformation again, and his eyes instantly became moist. He nodded heavily and turned into a Vajra Wish stick with a bang. Sarutobi Hiruzen, who got the Vajra Rui stick, instantly changed his spirit, revealing his ninja spirit. With a big wave of his hand, the Vajra Wishful stick extended towards 10,000 snakes in an instant. One snake, who was opening its snake mouth to bite Wentai, was instantly held in its mouth by a huge stick and was forced to back away. Wentai saw the right time and immediately broke free from the shackles of 10,000 snakes. Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't like to fight either, immediately retracted his stick and rushed towards Orochimaru. Sarutobi Hiruzen, with a weapon, is facing Orochimaru's grass pheasant sword, which is a deadly move. Coupled with the help of middle-aged Jiraiya, the situation suddenly changed in the blink of an eye. "Damn Sarutobi, Jiraiya. You forced me." Forbidden technique, Baki technique. Orochimaru, who was kicked away by a stick again, retracted the grass pheasant sword, roaring and quickly formed a seal. Orochimaru is well aware of the strength of Sarutobi Hiruzen and middle-aged Jiraiya. It's still a bit difficult to capture Shiraishi right under their noses. Simply don't hold back anymore. It is directly the strongest killing move. He didn't want to be sealed by the Sarutobi, Hiruzen ghoul again. The time-traveling secret Orochimaru is bound to gain, which will help him in his research. In an instant, a ferocious and terrifying white snake head emerged from Orochimaru's neck seal. 1 head, 2 heads, 3 heads. In the blink of an eye, the 8-headed Yamada no Orochi, which was comparable in size to Bunta, appeared in front of everyone. The body of Orochimaru appeared in the mouth of one of the white snakes. Chapter 34: Sudden changes in the situation. Colluding with Orochimaru. What kind of monster is this? Sarutobi Hiruzen took a step back subconsciously, and the boss with small eyes stared and exclaimed, "This is the first time I've seen Orochimaru in this state. Trouble this time. Mrs. One, old man by me time." The middle-aged Jiraiya's pupil shrank, and he shouted loudly and jumped over his head. The two took off and landed on the ground to distance themselves, and put their hands together to prepare for Sage Mode. "One Snake, go and take that child out of here. You are not needed here." Orochimaru stood in the mouth of a white snake with a grass pheasant sword in his hand and commanded the 10,000 snakes. The blade pointed directly at Shiraishi. "Orochimaru, remember my offering." One snake looked at Yamada no Orochi. The emerald green snake pupils flickered with fear and roared toward Shiraishi. "Wentai, go and stop one snake." "Orochimaru, leave it to me." Seeing this, Sarutobi Hiruzen shouted quickly with both hands and seals. Multiple shadow clone technique. As soon as the voice fell, the handprint was completed, and 4 shadow clone appear beside Sarutobi Hiruzen. Mrs. One didn't reply. She kicked the ground and rushed towards one snake. "Don't think about the past." Orochimaru roared, and the 3 snake heads bit Bunta at the same time. One Tai, who was in midair, narrowed his eyes, drew out the long knife at his waist, and slashed at it. The seemingly mighty white phosphorus Yamada no Orochi was cut off by Bunta in one encounter. But the other 2 snakeheads were not idle, biting Wentai's 2 arms holding the knife at the same time. In an instant, Wentai was pulled down by Yamada no Orochi. Under the control of Orochimaru, several other snake mouths bit Wentai in different positions. "Wentai, go back." At the same time, Sarutobi Hiruzen and 4 shadow clones completed the seal again and shouted at Wentai. It was Wentai, who was unable to defeat the 7 Song with both fists, made a decisive decision and disappeared into white smoke. 5 escaped Dalian Ball technique. At the same time that Bunta disappeared, Sarutobi Hiruzen and 4 shadow clones stood on the Vajra rod that became a 100-meter high pillar and shouted in unison. The 5 figures used the ninjutsu of 5 different attributes of fire, thunder, water, earth, and wind to attack Yamada no Orochi. The 5 kinds of ninjutsu generate and restrain each other, and a devastating explosion erupts in an instant. Orochimaru's Yamada no Orochi was directly submerged by the explosion. In the blink of an eye, the tall Yamada no Orochi was burned rapidly, and its 7 heads neighed continuously. The old man is so fierce now. The eyes of the middle-aged Jiraiya, who was condensing the celestial chakra, popped out in astonishment. Immediately, he gave up the condensation immortal technique, changed the handprints of both hands, and quickly formed the seals to point at 10,000 snakes. Earth-style super yellow spring swamp. Middle-aged Jiraiya increased chakras Earth-style, causing the extremely fast impacting snakes to sink into the swamp instantly. Middle-aged Jiraiya's chakra erupted under his feet and rushed straight to 10,000 snakes. With one hand rubbing together, a blue Rasengan appeared in his hand. "Damn Jiraiya, I will settle accounts with you next time." 10,000 snakes looked back at the burned Yamada no Orochi, and then at the middle-aged Jiraiya rushing over. Angrily put down a harsh word and returned to Richie Cave. A few seconds after Wanshi left, Yamada no Orochi was also burnt by the explosion and fell to the ground. Orochimaru, ragged and blown to pieces. Suddenly the mouth opened wide, and a human hand stretched out from inside. Then the 2 hands opened the mouth, and the whole body came out of the mouth. It is Orochimaru's perfect body replacement technique. The recovered Orochimaru stared at Sarutobi Hiruzen with resentment. On his face, the state of the curse seal was glowing scarlet and slowly shrinking. A whole Sarutobi, feeling the backlash of the young Orochimaru's will, Orochimaru said with maddened hate. But Orochimaru isn't too worried, he still has a backup. Who? Sarutobi Hiruzen, who had consumed a lot of chakra in one blow just now, didn't speak but gasped heavily. The current Sarutobi Hiruzen is a body of flesh and blood and does not have infinite chakra like the body of dirt during the Fourth World War. As the curse mark on Orochimaru's face faded, Orochimaru's eyes suddenly trembled and the sinister expression disappeared instantly. In the blink of an eye, youth Orochimaru's will return to the body. All the memories, strengths, and physical changes belonging to the middle-aged Orochimaru were taken over by the young Orochimaru. Is this the power of shadow? Thank you, Sarutobi-sensei. Feeling the strength of his body, Orochimaru recalled the large number of ninjutsu and forbidden technique in his memory, and said with fiery eyes, "Although it is a little risky, as Shiraishi said, it will become Kaga level in no time." Seeing this dizzying change in Orochimaru's state, Shiraishi in the distance let out a long breath. If Orochimaru were to play badly, he would be in danger. Orochimaru in middle age is a very dangerous existence. Who knows if he can fool around? Orochimaru, who exactly are you now? Listening to the familiar words and attitude, Sarutobi Hiruzen breathed a sigh of relief and tentatively said, "This, you'll know right away." Orochimaru narrowed his eyes, and a mysterious smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. I saw Orochimaru bent down and grabbed a bit of White Snake Sage's flesh and reached out to attach his hand to the curse mark on his neck. In the next moment, a red glow appeared from the curse mark. A white snake head emerges from the curse mark, one mouth of the snake. Another Orochimaru was spit out by the white snake. Orochimaru, who was spit out, waved his hands vertically with the wind, obviously unconscious. Big Orochimaru! Sarutobi Hiruzen narrowed his pupils, staring warily at the revived middle-aged Orochimaru. Actuating so fast? Thank you so much, me in another world. The middle-aged Orochimaru stood up slowly, without the slightest sharpness and viciousness before, and said calmly, "This is my promise to you. Now for our business, Orochimaru. I don't have that much time." Under Sarutobi Hiruzen's astonished gaze, Orochimaru said something unexpected. "Certainly, I'm also very interested in the plan you mentioned. After all, we are all the same kind of people." The middle-aged Orochimaru glanced casually at Sarutobi Hiruzen and said loudly. He opened his mouth, and a sealed scroll was spit out and thrown to Orochimaru. Orochimaru caught it casually and put it into the ninja bag without looking at it. "Etc. you, what are you going to do?" Seeing the actions of the two, Sarutobi Hiruzen's expression changed drastically, and he stepped back with the diamond rod to question. Also at this time, middle-aged Jiraiya, Shiraishi, and Tsunade came to Sarutobi Hiruzen. Jiraiya is still facing off against Yakushi Kabuto. Middle-aged Tsunade and Shizune are healing Naruto's injuries. "Nothing, it's just that you are lucky, Sarutobi teacher from another world. Your leaves will become real, towering trees." Middle-aged Orochimaru sighed to Sarutobi Hiruzen with complicated eyes, and then cast his eyes on middle-aged Jiraiya. "Jiraiya, I will find you after Tsunade becomes 5th generation. Don't you want to know about Akatsuki? This time I will let you know all about it." Under the surprised eyes of the middle-aged Jiraiya, the middle-aged Orochimaru sank into the ground after saying these words. Sarutobi Hiruzen and middle-aged Orochimaru were about to make an interception, but Orochimaru blocked it. "Orochimaru, what are you going to do again?" Middle-aged Jiraiya stared at Orochimaru with sharp eyes and shouted angrily. "Don't worry, it's a good thing for you and Konoha. It's not convenient to talk here," Orochimaru said calmly, turning his head to look at the absent-minded Shiraishi. "Shiraishi, as a master I have not given you any gift yet. Heaven's curse seal, do you want to experience it?" Orochimaru looked at Shiraishi playfully and made Shiraishi dumbfounded on the spot when he opened his mouth. Chapter 35. Finally opened. Original Curse Seal. That's it for today. I didn't expect to have a chance to fight Master Jiraiya, one of the Sannin. I really don't want to go this way. After Yakushi Kabuto saw the middle-aged Orochimaru retreating from a distance, he turned to Jiraiya and sighed. It's Sannin again. Kid, can you tell me what the title is? Jiraiya scratched his head and asked excitedly when he heard the words. It seems that he will be very famous in the future. You will know this later. Yakushi Kabuto smiled meaningfully, quickly completed the handprint, and disappeared into white smoke with a bang. What a mystery! Master Jiraiya. It sounds very stylish. Jiraiya muttered in dissatisfaction, turned and ran towards the big and small Tsunade. Curse Seal? Orochimaru, are you trying to kill this child? Or is it that you have been assimilated by your future self? The middle-aged Jiraiya let out a roar, staring at Orochimaru angrily and questioning. This burst of shouting also made the excited Shiraishi calm down instantly. Curse Seal is indeed a good cheat for ordinary people, but Shiraishi couldn't afford to bet on that 1/10 survival rate. He wants to play badly and lie down to win, but he can't put the cart before the horse and go desperately seeking strength. What's more, Shiraishi didn't want to be Orochimaru's backup container either. It's still not necessary. I just learned Sage Mode. The effect is the same. Shiraishi smiled coquettishly at Orochimaru and refused without hesitation. Sage Mode? What is the connection between Seal and Sage Mode? The middle-aged Jiraiya was taken aback when he heard the words, looked at Shiraishi, and said strangely, in his opinion, the Curse Seal is an evil force. How can it have anything to do with Sage Mode? He, the Curse Seal, is actually a manifestation of Sage Mode. In the final analysis, is also a Sage Mode. He is a special chakra drawn from the power of Sage transformation. Jiraiya, your vision is too narrow, Orochimaru said disdainfully to the middle-aged Jiraiya, and continued to look at Shiraishi. Shiraishi, how could I put you in danger? This is a specially customized version without any will, with a 90% success rate. As you said before, wealth come from insurance. Shiraishi, would you like to try? Only with it can you have the strength to survive in the ninja world. Orochimaru saw the worry in Shiraishi's eyes at a glance, and explained with a smile. In front of Shiraishi, who knows everything, Orochimaru has no intention of playing tricks. Besides Shiraishi's mediocre talent, Orochimaru didn't like it either. 90%. Shiraishi exclaimed when he heard this pupil constricted. At this moment, Shiraishi was really moved. If he hadn't experienced a fight just now, Shiraishi would definitely refuse. But the battle just now has made Shiraishi deeply aware of the terrifying strength. Now he doesn't have a trump card to survive in the ninja world. Practicing Sage Mode is an illusion that is far away. If this continues, it is very likely that he will die in a certain accident. Shiraishi doesn't think he will be safe if he stays in Konoha. At any time, there must be strength as a guarantee. Master, can this Curse Seal be upgraded in the future? After struggling for a moment, Shiraishi gritted his teeth and asked. If he can upgrade, then he will try his luck. During the period of Boruto, Orochimaru's son Mitsuki's Curse Seal Sage Mode is not only handsome, but also surpasses the existence of ordinary Sage Mode. As the cheat of the protagonist's teammate, Shiraishi has reason to believe that it is beyond the normal Sage Mode state. After all, the enemies in the Boruto period were all Sutsuki. How could the cheats be too low level? Upgrade? It might work. This is the source of the spell seal I asked for from Orochimaru, which is the initial version. All the spell seals are developed on this basis. Orochimaru's eyes burst out with enthusiasm when he heard the upgrade, and he looked at Shiraishi intently. Shiraishi didn't tell him about this before. It seems that the Curse Seal still has a strong development potential. The origin of the Curse Seal. I accepted, Shiraishi exclaimed, gritted his teeth, and said. He knew that the origin of the Curse Seal came from Chongo, and Orochimaru developed the Sky Curse Seal, the Earth Curse Seal, and the ordinary curse seal on this basis. No, I don't agree. The middle-aged Jiraiya still stopped. He didn't believe Orochimaru's nonsense. I think we'll talk about this later. Orochimaru, should you explain to me the deal you just made with that Orochimaru? Sarutobi Hiruzen also interrupted.
No more novels? Take part in the voting. The most requested novels and those with the most likes will be chosen for publication on euroaudiobooks.com. There, I can upload as much as I want without the risk of receiving a strike. Our 18 novels and other content that exceed what is morally acceptable are only published on Patreon or the free novels page. Remember, the site is funded by donations on Ko-fi and Patreon memberships.